You're just mad because you were like, we're not going to be late today. And boom, we're 2 minutes late. And it's all your fault.
I
Hello,
set the
everybody.
stream for 11:15. We're technically 11 minutes early.
Oh my, wait, why did you do that? Oh my God, look at this guy. He beat the system. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. That's right. The comic is being printed, everyone. It's going to be printed and shipped this year. So
Yes, directly to
make
your home.
sure that if you want the comic, you better click the little order button. Okay. Click that order
Yes.
button, get the comic, or forever hold your peace because who knows if there will be a second printing of this amazing, wonderful Supervillains Anonymous,
Look,
baby.
and I'm amicable. I know I'm like 3 years late on this comic, but if you perhaps ordered the nudie cover and like now you have a girlfriend or something and you don't want this smut material showing up at your house, all you have to do is request a refund. I'll be happy to give you a refund. You can order a clean, safe for work cover.
There
Like
you go.
I
Look
don't
at
want to
that. What
get
a nice
anyone in
guy.
trouble because of my tardiness.
Right.
So
Okay. Also, yeah, update your address if you've moved. That's another thing that's important. Also, Adam's been telling me some people getting a little uppity in the comment section, getting a little upset. Okay.
uppity. Look, hold
Yeah.
on. I'm not sure that's appropriate. These could be African American Trump supporters. So
Oh,
Sitch,
okay.
I'm not sure
Okay.
using the term uppity is like
That's
very
impossible. Everyone knows that only white people like Donald Trump. Okay. This is what I've
okay.
been told, right?
No,
This is what I've been
that is
informed by the media.
incorrect.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. So anyway, but yeah, if you're, mad at us for something that we said, shoot I'm gonna say shoot Adam a link or a
Yeah, shoot
DM or
me a
something
DM. I'm
on Twitter
official
and say, "Hey,
producer.
I want to come on the show and argue with you guys about Trump, about whatever, and maybe we'll have you on."
Yeah. Yeah. Sitch told me in the comments just to respond with, come on the show.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Come on the
curious. We like to
show.
fight. We like to fight. We like to argue. But anyway, today, today we'll be
Mhm.
watching. Oh my gosh, Adam. We are both wrong. After that disastrous second interview that we watched, where Kamala Harris was at that local ABC affiliate, it was like a total joke interview. We were both like, is she going to do any more interviews? Is this it? It was so bad. Is this it? But here she is. Oh my God. Her third interview, her third ever interview since accepting the nomination. And she's at the National Association of Black Journalists. This was the same
Oh
organization.
my
If you
no.
recall,
Oh
we
my.
watched, yes, this was the organization we watched, where Trump was there and he was like, I don't know if Kamala is black,
You got
but
look, we should bring that clip up first just so that we have the
just so we have the
context.
contact.
The
Okay, let's go.
black, the
The
black.
black.
She
Yes.
said she was black.
She said she was black. She said she wasn't black. I don't know if she's black or black not.
Well, she's also I think supposed to do some campaign event with Oprah Winfrey, which she's trying to trying to say as an interview, trying to pitch as an interview, right? But it's probably not going to be interview style. So this is like a legitimate interview here, like a real hard nosed. Now they were
Mm-hmm.
very,
Sir,
very,
do you believe
they were
They're very
very,
hard on Trump.
yeah, they were very hard nosed on Trump, going at, going for the jugular
Mm-hmm.
on Trump. Look, I don't want to get in trouble. Like, I mean, metaphorically going for the jugular. Okay. I don't want. I don't want to be accused of insinuating violence. But
So,
yes, they were
so are you
very
are you questioning whether they'll be as hard on Kamala as they were on Trump? Is that what you're suggesting here?
not really. I'm kind of musing about how that would be nice if they actually had some journalistic integrity and that they would
Mm,
do something like that.
right.
But
Right.
I'm sure they didn't. All right,
Oh,
here we
sorry,
go.
sneezed. Okay. Anyway, let's do this. In case you forgot or you didn't see it, here it is. Here's the black comment.
that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black. until a number of years
Is it
ago when
right?
she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black woman.
I
She went to a
respect
historically
either
black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir,
Oh my God. Is it right for me to think this is absolutely hilarious?
It is very funny.
I think look,
I mean, it's
I
terrible,
think
but it's funny.
I know, yeah. It's like comedy gold. It's like this belongs in a Will Ferrell movie, right?
Yeah, it does. Well, let's see. I think that's part of like the weirdness of Trump is, he'll say something that like you're like, okay, that's kind of like fucked up, but he says it in this weird, funny way that you're like, you would, as you said, it feels like this is something that Will Ferrell, who's playing like the asshole candidate, would
Yeah.
say, like as he's like running, some kind of
Yeah.
Anchorman style
Yes,
movie.
yeah.
Eating the
Anyway.
pets. They're eating the pets.
We're hitting the back button.
Yeah, I hit the back button.
Nice.
Good.
Okay, so this is Kamala's at the same organization. The setup looks completely different. So I don't know. I guess it's a different location, and it's different people I think she's talking to. It's hard to tell because the camera angle is also completely different, which is interesting.
Wow. Wow.
let's
Okay.
Jump into it. Let me skip
They
ahead
didn't
to
want to
the-
get that Fox News host on because Trump had a Fox News host out there too.
Yeah, these are all different people.
So he had like 2 or 3 hostile journalists and one friendly journalist, one Fox
Right.
News journalist. So
Right.
Kamala, I'm sure will have the same, right? She'll have like 2 or 3 Fox News hosts and then one sympathetic ABC journalist.
You will see. You will find
Okay.
out. Okay.
That's what I'm expecting.
I wonder, will they ask her, Kamala, are you in fact black?
Black.
Black. Also, it sounds like there's like 10 people in the crowd. What's going on here?
Yeah, Trump packed the hall, right?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Madam Vice President, thank you so much for doing this and making the time.
Of course.
Just a little bit busy right now. We want to start on an issue that Americans across the country say is their number one concern, and that's the economy. A question that has been asked of you and everybody that's on the Democratic side is whether or not voters are better off now than they were 4 years ago. Are they better off now than they were 4 years ago?
So when we came into, well, first of all, let me just say it is good to be with the National Association of Black Journalists, and I thank you for the work you do and that your members do every day. It is very important that we ensure that this organization and your members always have the resources and the platform.
Oh my God, I thought she was actually going to answer the question. I thought she was saying,
Give her
First,
a
let me
second. Give her a second.
I
Okay.
thought she was going to say, first, let me say, yes, we are better off than we were 4 years ago, right? But no, she's got to like,
She's
anyway.
got to thank the peoples, the nice peoples, and say you guys do good works for being a black journalist. all right?
Please do your best to forget the question that was asked. Let me thank you for 25 minutes.
To deliver the voices that must be heard. So I thank you for hosting me today.
One thing I'm noticing about Kamala is always terrible audio. You know what you're going to get with Kamala Harris is
That is
terrible
weird.
audio.
That's weird. That is super weird. And it's not, I mean, it's not her fault because she's not the one setting up the audio, but she's
Yeah.
got like the audio curse.
Don't you have one of those little lapel mics? I got to hold the mic in my mouth here. I got to like,
Yeah, I know.
I got to take this huge thing and.
Oh,
4
God,
years
stop
ago, when we came in during the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. We came in during the worst public health epidemic in centuries.
Is that I mean, there was the Great Recession, right? This wasn't the Great Recession. This was the pandemic. So I think that
Right, but
first one is
I think
incorrect.
unemployment was worse during that than the recession.
Oh, because the
The lockdown.
government wanted everyone to stay home. You're right.
Right.
They literally closed all the businesses.
Yeah.
So self-imposed unemployment.
Yes.
We came in after the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And a lot of it due in large part to the mismanagement by the former president. as it relates to COVID, and obviously January 6th. And we had then a lot of work to do to clean up a mess. As of today, we have created over 16 million new jobs.
So I don't understand. These politician 101, okay? Seek out the camera. You're talking to the audience. Talk to us.
Right.
This isn't going to be televised. It says it's Fox 5. Why are you talking? Why are you talking off screen? What is this, a Christopher Nolan movie?
Well, that is true. And also that first question, it's like a stupid question too. Is the economy, like, you shouldn't be asking like, is the economy better or worse? You should be asking like, what are you going to do to make the economy better, right?
No, I think asking, that's a typical question that is asked. You know,
I know,
are
but
you
it's a
better
stupid
off?
question.
Right.
I mean, I think especially in the context of the pandemic.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, no, it is. I look, I totally agree that it's in the context of the pandemic, like all bets are off. She's trying to make the pitch that we've massively improved the economy. But, you know, she's different than Joe Biden.
Over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. We have the lowest Black unemployment rate in generations. We have invested in small businesses, and they're to the benefit of many people, but including Black small businesses, some of the highest rate of creation of new Black small businesses in years. We have done the work of capping the cost of prescription medication for our seniors for issues like insulin. And again, I'm speaking to the Black journalists who care about all people, but in particular, I'll talk about the impact on Black people, where we know Black folks are 60% more likely to be diagnosed with diabetes. And we have now finally capped the cost of insulin for our seniors at $35 a month, capped the cost of prescription medication for our seniors at $2,000 a year, because we, unlike the former president who promised to do it, we finally have allowed Medicare to negotiate drug prices against the big pharmaceutical companies. And these are just some of the accomplishments. Is the price of groceries still too high? Yes. Do we have more work to do? Yes. And I will tell you, I do believe that I offer a new generation of leadership for our country that is about, in particular, turning the page on an era that sadly has shown us attempts by some to incite fear, to create division in our country, and to do the work that is about bringing some level of optimism and, dare I say, ambition about what I know is possible in our country. And so my plan for the economy includes what I imagine and believe and call an opportunity economy. What we can do to grow an opportunity economy where all people have access to the resources to compete, to apply their incredible work ethic, their ambition, their aspirations, and their dreams, and actually not just get by, but get ahead. And I can talk in more detail about it, but specifically, I'll mention a few things. Yeah. One of the big issues that affects people right now in terms of the economy and their economic well-being is we have a shortage of housing supply. It's too expensive. People can't afford to buy a home. You know, we grew up, our parents, where they had the ability to somehow believe the American dream was attainable. Not so much for younger working people. And I recognize that. So my approach is a new approach, which is to say, let's just take this and deal with it head on. And part of my approach is to say, I'm going to employ and engage the private sector, in particular home builders with tax credits, to give them the incentive to create new housing, 3 million by the end of my first term, and understanding that not everybody is, handed a silver spoon, but works hard and is trying to save up for a down payment. Part of my plan under my opportunity economy is to give first-time home buyers a $25,000 down payment assistance so they can just get their foot in the door to be able to then engage in what will prove to be their opportunity to build intergenerational wealth. And here's my personal experience coming at that. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother was hardworking. She raised me and my sister Maya. She saved up, and it was only by the time I was a teenager that she could afford to actually buy her first home. And I know, and I identify with, I know where I come from.
Madam Vice
and
President.
I know, but I'm just going to finish. I know that so many people work so hard and should have the opportunity to just get their foot in the door. Again, so it's not just about getting by, but getting ahead. Please.
I'd like to ask you more.
Okay, how'd you
Okay.
feel about that whole answer?
I'm wrestling with that whether or not she should say, like, as the homes are being built, she'll offer $25K to new home buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just like, if there's such a discrepancy for me, and look, this is probably lost on other people, the fact that if you give the $25K incentive before you actually build the homes, you're just going to get massive home inflation, which is going to add to the problem that we already have. So I
Yeah,
think
it's a stupid
a
policy. Yes, it's
yeah,
just, but it's just a buyout. It's just a buyout for votes, essentially.
it is totally.
Yeah.
But if she did say, and look, why is she saying 4 years? Like, what the fuck? 1 year? Like,
Right.
why is it going to take 4 years to build these homes? I don't understand. You need to cut. Well, it'd be nice if she mentioned the regulation, because the regulation is standing in the way. Like, the home builders can have all the money in the world, with these tax incentives, and if they can't get the permits from the local municipalities, then they can't build the homes, right? They
Right.
have
Well,
plenty of money.
presumably, when they talk about incentivizing, they're not just talking about the private business, they're talking about somehow incentivizing cities to, cut red tape or regulations or whatever is
She
going on
didn't
there.
mention that. She just said tax incentives for home builders.
I guess you're right. Yeah, she should
said
be saying
join
that.
with the private sector. Like,
Right. She should be pushing on because that's the only way it's going to happen. You have to push on the local governments.
yeah, look, you should give the tax incentives to the local governments to turn out the permits.
Right.
Say, listen, they did. Reagan, I think it was Reagan. It might, yeah, I think it was Reagan. Like, back in the 80s, a lot of the states had, their drinking age was 18, and the federal government wanted everyone to raise it to 21. And so they basically withheld federal funds for roads in order for them to put pressure on them to raise the drinking age to 21. Like, you can do stuff like that, right? If they're not building enough homes, you can say, well, look, we're going to withhold your freeway money, right? Now your interstate is starting to get potholes on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Why do you think it is that, I feel like Trump never talks about building more homes, which seems like a massive,
He
just
doesn't
leaving money on the table.
It sucks. He doesn't want to get accused of copying Kamala Harris, because all he wants to do is say Kamala is the one copying. Copy Kamala.
Maybe that's it. I think it's pretty stupid for him not to do that. So, because it's definitely a big issue, and I think it's good that she's hitting on the housing. I think she should hit on the housing more, even if I agree with you, it's not exactly flushed out. The plan is not flushed out correctly. It's interesting that she has dropped, because the two issues when you talk about the economy seems to be, or the three issues, I guess, should be housing, employment, and food prices. And I guess gas prices too. So there's four. But then, with the food prices, she had the whole thing about this, we're going to tap down the price gougers. And that's kind of all disappeared. I don't think I've ever heard her ever bring this up in any interview whatsoever.
She found out that the profit margin on food is tiny. That must be
Maybe, I
it.
don't know. It is interesting that's completely gone away.
So she did do a good thing. I'll give her credit for. She mentions the unemployment rate is better, but the groceries are bad, because the original question was, are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
Yeah.
So,
No, that's true.
it's a mixed bag, and she's being honest about it.
That's a
because
good
she
point.
knows, she says, oh yeah, you're way better off. And everyone's like, well, I'm kind of dying at the grocery store or at the gas pump. They're like, you're a liar. So she kind of is forced to mention that.
Yeah. The other thing that she did that I thought was good in the answer before I start critiquing things is she did she apparently took the note because last time in the other interview when she's asked this question or the economic question, she goes, I was raised as a middle class. It's like she does this stupid biography for like 2 minutes before she gets to the policy. And then she did the reverse this time. She said the policy and then said, I was born in a middle class, blah, 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 blah. So, and
Yeah,
also
so
it was
she
much
fixed
shorter.
it.
Right. So she did fix it. So that's good. Okay. So that was, I think, the positive elements of it. The negative elements. Well, here's a questionable element. So we talked in the other interview that we watched, the ABC one. She was like hyper nervous in the interview. This one, she doesn't seem to be nervous. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because the camera angle is like a profile as opposed to straight on, and it's also the camera's further away. But she doesn't sound as nervous. But instead, she sounds like super chill, but like too chill. She sounds like really low energy. And I guess is the low energy preferable to sounding very anxious?
Maybe I don't. Doesn't really affect me. So
Really? Because I mean, I want my politicians to be like commanding and to have like that kind of like leadership vibe, like I'm gonna get shit done. And when you're kind of just like droning on, when I said like Trump had this problem, in the in his press conference when he thought he was losing in the polls, he lost all his like momentum and energy.
yeah, totally.
In all these press conferences he do, he was just kind of like droning on and on. And it kind of feels like this with Kamala. She's kind of just like droning, like, like, oh, we have these problems. And I'm like, okay, I don't like the low energy. I mean, I guess it's preferable to being hyper anxious, but not a fan of it.
Yeah, I don't like the low energy stuff either.
The
It's
other
hard.
thing,
It's just hard to say which is worse.
right. The anxiety is probably worse than the low energy. The other thing, and this is like a body language thing, is I noticed this is weird. I didn't really notice this before because we never really got the profile shot. She does this weird thing. I don't know if you noticed where when she's talking, she keeps raising her shoulders up, like as if she, like when you shrug, you raise your shoulders up and you kind of like put your neck, like head down into your neck.
Right.
And she keeps doing it when she's talking. And then she also looks like she's wearing shoulder pads, which emphasizes her shoulders already. So when you combine that with her body language, she's making herself seem more diminutive and smaller and more just anxious and more like, I don't want to say feminine, but more, I don't know, just like not a person you would take seriously. It's really bad body language. And I would, she needs to notice that. Someone in her campaign needs to notice that she's doing that and be like, you need to stop fucking shrugging your shoulders up for no reason. It's really bad.
I'm not a big person on the body language thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I do think it matters. There's some people that think, oh my God, this is everything, right?
Well, it's not everything. And I don't like the body language experts who are like, the body language says blah, 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 blah. But there's little subtle things that you do with your body language that sends signals to people on an unconscious level that they perceive. And they
Yes.
might go like, I don't know why I'm not taking this person seriously. Or I know why, or I don't know why I am taking this person seriously. And, these are just important things to think about, especially when you're running for president.
Yeah. Look, Trump, we just watched a previous clip of Trump, right? Trump turns his body to the audience, like he's open, right? He's got his hands out. This is closed. This is like, I'm closed for business. I got my legs crossed. I got my hands guarding my torso. I'm ready to defend myself. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're correct.
Offensive posture versus defensive posture.
Yes.
Yeah. And look, this is a person that's going to go out and sell America to the world, right?
Lead America, supposedly.
Yeah, theoretically.
About the opportunity economy. Housing is a part of it, as well as expanding the earned income tax credit, financial support, as you mentioned, for first-time buyers, and a $50,000 tax deduction for startups and small businesses. But I want to talk to you about the squeeze that millions of...
I want to talk about this for a second, though, this opportunity economy, because obviously this is her phrase. She says this constantly, this opportunity economy. And it's interesting because, like, what does that make you think of? Because obviously this term was very carefully workshopped by her campaign. So it's like, what is the message here that they're trying to elicit in people when they say opportunity economy?
Well, it's not visual, which
That's
is
true. That
which
is
is
true.
terrible,
It's not a
right?
good, it's not, yeah, I
Doesn't put
agree.
an image in your head.
I don't think it's a great phrase because you're right. It's not visual at all.
Opportunity is a good word. That's got some
Right,
good valence to it.
right.
Yeah.
It's, to
Hmm.
me, it kind of, I feel like this is, again, her trying to pivot towards the center for the election. Because the way I would perceive opportunity economy is like, we're not giving you stuff, we're giving you opportunity, right? And
Right.
then you can either like take it or fail.
Right. She said work with the private sector in her talking about houses, which
Right.
is good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Join with
Well,
the
she
private
needs to work
sector.
with the cities though. So
I know. Yeah,
yeah.
that's that's the one problem, right? But I mean, in terms of getting past the stereotype of a communist, right? She's saying,
Right.
look, there
That's
is this
true.
private sector that we need to work with.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I find it interesting that because this this opportunity economy thing seems not equity-esque, right? Like she's trying to
Right.
move away from
Well,
the
that's
whole
a good
equity
point. Yeah.
thing. So
That's a great point.
Of Americans are also dealing with that impacts their ability to work and make money, and that is child care and elder care.
Yeah.
And it's a squeeze for millions of people. In some parts of the country, it costs more for child care than for rents. I think
That's right.
Bloomberg recently reported an average of $33,000 a year. So I'm just wondering, you mentioned that in your opportunity economy,
You know the secret to fixing that childcare problem? Being
what?
able to afford a house on one income.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, how's that ever going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, it was once possible.
I know, but we're not going to go back to that.
Yeah, we could. We could if we built more houses. So much of this
Okay,
is just
we'll see.
so much of this is pitting homeowners against people who don't have homes.
a child tax credit, but that's just one part of an ecosystem.
Right.
Please tell us, what plans will you propose to guarantee that families can actually afford child care and elder care?
So to your point, it is sadly the state of affairs in our country that working people often have to decide to either be able to work or be able to afford child care. Like they can't afford child care and actually do the work that they want to do because it's too expensive and it doesn't actually level out in terms of the expense versus the income. My plan is that no working family should pay more than 7% of their income in child care. Because I know that when you talk about the return on that investment, allowing people to work, allowing people to pursue their dreams in terms of how they want to work, where they want to work, benefits us all. It strengthens the entire economy. We saw, for example, during the pandemic what happened. And it sadly has dissipated as a conversation that we need to resuscitate, which is the number of women that had to leave the workforce because of a lack of child care and home health care. And so many of our families, and in particular women, end up carrying the responsibility. Men do too, of course. What we call people who are in the sandwich generation.
Exactly.
Who have young children and are also taking care of their parents. And it is just absolutely too expensive for them to be able to work and do that. So my plan is not only about 7% of income for working people for child care, but also we need to do better for our child care providers and our home health care providers in terms of ensuring that they receive the wages that they deserve based on the dignity of their work. I have spent time with home health care providers, and their work is some of the most taxing work you can imagine. And I actually, when my mother was sick with cancer, did a lot in terms of taking care of her. And the work that is about taking care of a loved one, in particular an elder, is extraordinarily heavy in terms of the emotional toll, the time it takes, and we do it.
Okay, enough of the emotional stuff. Not really interested, but so I do notice the framing on the what I said before she started speaking, right? Like you could have, if you can run a household on one income, then obviously you have a spouse that can stay home and take care of the kids.
Right.
But in her framing, she frames it as, you know, people want to work, people desire to work, people want to go out. And it seems like it's coming strictly from her perspective as someone who, you know, obviously she's basically been a career woman her whole life, right? Working is what drives her, I would say. So, but I don't think that's like everybody is a career woman. I think maybe, you know, some people would like to live in an economy where one spouse could stay home and actually take care of the kids.
Yeah, you're correct. But from a narrative perspective, I don't think a politician, especially a Democrat, could say to the answer to the question of like, how do we lower the cost of childcare to say, well, I want women to stay home and not work.
No,
Right.
but you could say people should have the option to stay home. Like some women want to be career women and some women might want to stay home. Some husbands might want to stay home.
No,
You don't
I
have to
understand.
make it gendered.
I understand, but I'm saying if the answer to the question is, well, I want to make, well, first of all, if you say, I want to make it so that families can exist on a single income, number one, as I said, that just seems so monumentally impossible
Her
in
her
terms of
her
the way our
framing is
economy is structured, number one. And then number two, it will be turned around, you know, by people on the left as like she's saying that women should stay in the kitchen, which, you know,
her
you don't want
okay,
to, you want to
whatever.
avoid that framing.
Her framing is we need to make childcare cheaper
Right.
because everyone wants to work and taking care of their own kids is what's getting in the way. That's basically the way that she framed it. And I think
Right.
that's probably not going to appeal to a lot of people who would like to stay home and take care of their kids. They're like not really desirous of going to work at the IHOP, right? Also, it's funny that she's like, okay, 7% of income to childcare. Like, I don't know where she got that number, but okay, 7%. She's like, the way that we make health childcare cheaper, we got to give all these childcare workers raises.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I thought we were talking about making childcare cheaper.
Right.
Everyone needs to make more money. Like, look, it's another one of those wicked problems, right? It's like the reason childcare and elder care is so expensive is because it takes a lot of resources to actually do it. You got to have a lot of labor. So
Right.
the solution to this actually is that fucking robot. We should watch that video because as soon as those robots get
What
involved,
video?
remember I sent you the video of the robot, the humanoid robot. It's like it weighs 150 pounds. It can lift, I think, 60 pounds.
Oh, the one.
And you were like,
yeah. Sure. But I mean, you
that's the
can't answer
solution.
that. Right. But you could be correct, but you can't answer that question in this term. Like,
No, obviously you
right.
can't. Yeah.
Um,
You sound like a
I mean,
lunatic.
right. I guess she could say, because I don't know if there is an answer to this. And I guess you could say something to the effect of, oh, we need to make it so that people can get, I don't know, tax, we're increasing the tax credit, even though I believe, that the Biden tax credit for kids was like better than hers, but obviously she would spin it like, we're going to raise the tax credit for children so you could use that money to pay for childcare and also, create an economy. I guess she should say what you were saying, but like, give kind of a vague answer, which is, we need to create an economy for Americans so that, if a mother or father wants to raise their kids, they have the economic capacity to do so, right? I guess you could say that. I think it's like I think it'd be like a fake thing. I don't think it'd be anything they could manifest in 4 years, but I guess it'd be like a good answer. It would appeal to people, what their thoughts and feelings are.
Right. I don't know if child care is tax deductible.
Well, no, it would be like, well, either A, you could maybe advocate for it to be tax deductible,
Yeah,
or
that's
just
what
say
I was
that,
thinking.
right, or just say that the increased child tax credit would be help to pay for rearing your child, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually kind of surprised she's not like really bringing that up here, but
Because that is what we
a maximum expense of $8,000 for childcare. You think you can do? You think you can have someone take care of your kids for a year for $8,000?
no, obviously not.
That's ridiculous.
Obviously not. Yes.
So look, you're being taxed on top of the childcare. So that's what I would do. All childcare expenses are tax deductible. You will not get taxed on any money you spend on childcare.
That'd be interesting. I don't know. I wonder how much that would reduce tax revenue by.
I don't know. Whatever
But it'd be a
childcare
good,
is a year minus $8,000.
it would be an interesting policy. So, and you would, I
8,000
mean,
per kid too.
that would be a powerful policy in terms of like people would be happy about that, right?
Right.
Say, you know, if you're under some, you know, in some tax brackets, you know, X amount, you know, 100% maybe or whatever, you know, probably would lessen as you know, get more and more up there in terms of how much you make, you know, is off. But then you'd have to put restrictions on it too, because it's like, you know, oh, obviously sending your kid to some private school that costs, you know, $1 jillion a year should not be tax deductible, right?
Oh, that's
So
great.
there'd have to be some, you know, obviously you'd have to make a bunch of restrictions and stuff, but I think it's a good policy. To win votes. I don't know if it actually works.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it always is.
Right.
we do, but not everyone has the ability to take time from work to do it, and they need help. And we need to make sure we have home health care workers that can help them. But I want to also get back to the earlier point that you made about extending the child tax credit. So part of my new approach is we need to expand the child tax credit. And so part of my plan that is under an opportunity economy is to extend and expand the child tax credit to $6,000 so that young families in particular, for the first year of their child's life, which is an extraordinarily important time in their development, have the resources to be able to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy children's clothing, and not have to worry about whether they're going to be able to meet their other needs. And I don't need to remind anybody here, especially these esteemed journalists, but when we expanded the child tax credit a couple years ago, we reduced black child poverty by half. And so again, if you talk about the benefit and if you think about the benefit to the economy overall, it strengthens our economy to do things like pay attention to affordable child care, affordable home health care, and extending the child tax credit.
Madam Vice President, black men.
You know, it's
She
interesting.
repeats herself.
Yeah, but we talked about, you know, could Kamala, you know, Kamala can take input and try to course correct where Trump can't. And then we had the question of after the second debate, or I guess the first debate, can Kamala fix her problems when she's speaking going forward?
Yeah, I remember that.
Right. And I had said, I don't know. I'm thinking no. But I have to say, so far, like, I don't like this isn't I wouldn't say this is like a riveting, obviously it's not a riveting interview. This is not an Obama level, you know, inspirational, getting people jazzed up to go vote for her. But it's not like the worst thing you've ever seen in your life.
It's incremental improvement. It is.
It is. It's definitely a big improvement from the other ABC interview we watched, which was just like a train wreck.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe she can salvage this. She is seeming to get a little bit better every time.
Yeah, she needs to do one of these a day. She needs to be like, look, we're going to do an interview. I don't know what time she gets up. I get up around 6. So like 6 a.m. as soon as I'm up, like I'm bright and early, fresh, ready to go, ready to talk.
Yeah,
and
maybe
then
because
do campaign stops later in the day.
It's like I guess with this interview, she's moved out of the bad tier into like the meh tier. She's not like in the good place yet.
I think
she's
we're
in the,
still
like,
in the bad tier,
meh.
but
I think she's in like the meh. She's in like the like I'm not offended by this interview, but I'm not excited by it.
look, it was a train wreck before. I'm going to move it up to a car wreck.
Okay. No, I would say
hopefully next time it's a bicycle wreck.
okay, no. I would say that before it was a train wreck, I'd say now it's like a long, boring car drive, right? That's uneventful,
Okay.
right? But you're not dying on the way there.
Look, nobody died in the car accident, okay? It was
Oh, well, in the train wreck, I don't know. It
look,
seemed like a lot of
I'm
people
not going
probably
fender
died.
bender though. This was a
Okay.
legitimate. I mean, the car is totaled, but nobody died.
And as you know, are a closely watched voting bloc. You've hosted black men at your residence.
Yep.
You have engaged black men and centered them in your economic opportunity tour. But polling shows that some black men, particularly young black men, are considering voting for Donald Trump, and they see him as better for the economy. What is your message to young black male voters who feel left out of this economy, and how can your economic policies materially change their lives?
So I appreciate the spirit of the question, but I'll tell you, I've often been asked this question in a way that I've had to respond by first saying that I think it's very important to not operate from the assumption that black men are in anybody's pocket. Black men are like any other voting group. You got to earn their vote. So
That was such an inappropriate choice of words. Oh,
What do you mean?
because it sounds like it sounded like she meant was black men are like pickpocketing you.
Oh, I didn't get that at all.
Yeah. Well, it could
She
be
said they're-
it could be heard either way. It could mean the politician thinks black men are in their pocket as constituents.
That's what she
But
meant.
it
yeah.
also could mean black men have their hand in your pocket.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't get that at all.
Yeah.
But
Well, look, it could be heard either way, and that's
right.
unfortunate. That's the unfortunate part of it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people are, a lot of people are going to be looking at, and this was the charge that people made with Obama, right? They're like, oh, he's gonna be only interested in helping black voters. He's
Right.
not going to care about all Americans, right?
Right.
So, and that's why in that context, that's exactly what I thought she was saying. I thought that's where she was going. I was like, wow, this is like very direct, right?
I think she goes there at some point in this interview.
She
Says
does?
something to that effect. Yes.
Oh, okay.
but I
I'm
don't
gonna
remember
be
if
the
it's in this
president of
answer
all
or if it's
Americans.
later. Yeah.
Does she come right out and say, black people aren't getting anything from me. I'm Indian.
She does not say. She does not say that. No.
She doesn't go that far. Okay,
No.
good.
She does not say that she's tired of black men loitering in her, cousin's 7-Eleven. Right.
Okay.
I'm working to earn the vote, not assuming I'm going to have it because I am black, but because
Oh my God.
Black. She said it because I'm black.
She did it just like Donald Trump.
I know, it's weird. Yeah.
She did the same. I'm uncomfortable using the word black that Donald Trump did.
Isn't that strange?
Yeah, it's almost like she's not black.
Terrible, Ad. You can't say that.
Why is she doing that?
So I'm working to earn the vote, not assuming I'm going to have it because I am black, but because.
Oh, that's so. Oh, that feels so phony, Sitch. That felt so phony.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel it, Sitch?
I mean, I didn't feel the phone. She felt like really nervous talking about it, which is interesting. She's very nervous talking about race stuff. I'm guessing because her campaign has like told her to shy away
Lean
from
into it?
No, to not lean into it. I mean, this was even with her Tim Walz thing. Remember, they're like, oh, how do you feel about Trump saying you're not black? And she's just like, next question, right?
Well, I mean, I genuinely, it seems authentic that she doesn't want to talk about race. So if the campaign is telling her don't talk about race and she doesn't want to talk about race, then she'd be perfectly comfortable, right?
I'm skeptical. The only reason I'd be skeptical about it being quote authentic is just because it seems like when she was vice president and was also running for president in 2020, that she was completely comfortable leaning into identity
Oh
politics,
yeah.
race stuff. You know, she was saying Joe
She
Biden's in
accused
favor of
Biden of the
busing.
thing. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
You know,
I was
like
one of those little black girls.
Right, right. And, you know, she was all like, you know, oh, the BLM stuff. So to me, it reads not that this is a personal thing, just that her
Right.
campaign has told her, you need to shy away from this. And she's like, so she gets like very anxious and uncomfortable when it gets brought
Yeah,
up because
yeah,
she
yeah.
doesn't know exactly how to navigate it very effectively.
Yeah, I mean, when I say authentic, I mean authentically anxious. Like the anxiety she is feeling is authentic.
Well, yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes, it is authentic anxiety.
The policies and the perspectives I have understands what we must do to recognize the needs of all communities. And I intend to be a president for all people.
See, there it is.
Specifically as it relates to what we need to do, to your point around economic opportunity. Yes, I started way before I was at the top of the ticket, what I called an economic opportunity tour, focused on Black men. Understanding that, for example, we have so many entrepreneurs in the community who do not have access to capital, but they've got great ideas, an incredible work ethic, the ambition, the aspiration, the dream, but don't have the relationships necessarily. So my work has included, as vice president, getting billions more dollars into community banks, including working with the big banks to do that, so that we can increase access to capital for our small businesses, for our startups. Part of my plan under my economic opportunity plan going forward is that right now, startup entrepreneurs, small businesses only get a tax deduction of $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000. So I'm expanding that to $50,000. Understanding, again, that when people have the opportunity to have the
He doesn't even know the difference between a tax deduction and like a low interest loan. Because you can't start a business with a tax deduction. You need a loan from a bank.
resources to get started, they're going to put the good ideas, they're going to put the hard work into it. And part of what I also know is that our young Black men, our Black men, just like any group of people, anybody, our small businesses are really the backbone of our economy overall. And when they do better economically, we all do better. Part of my work is about understanding what we need to do in dealing with, for example, the historic inequities that have faced the Black community around home ownership, right? I don't have to go through the history with anybody here about what that has meant in terms of redlining, what that has meant in terms of biases and home appraisals, and what the impact it has had on stemming the opportunity to build intergenerational wealth because of those obstacles. So part of the work that I have done and will continue to do is identify, speak truth about those obstacles, and address them. Another example is medical debt. 1 in 4 Black families or individuals is more likely to carry medical debt than others. So part of my perspective, and as vice president, part of the work that we have done is to say that we're going to eliminate medical debt from being on your credit score. Because until now, medical debt worked against your credit score, and people know their credit score like your weight, right? You know that number. And the difference between what that number is and what it needs to be is the difference between you being able to get a car loan, a small business loan, or even a leasing on an apartment. And so part of my approach is understanding the obstacles that traditionally and currently exist to allow anyone, including Black men, be able to achieve economic wealth. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think it is sufficient to just only talk about economic policy around reducing unemployment. It is an important marker, and I'm proud of the work that we've done thus far. But it should be a baseline there. Everybody's working. The point is, do people have an opportunity to build wealth? If that's what they choose to do, if that's what they want to do. And a lot of my perspective as we go forward is just that. I believe that there are a lot of opportunities that are available to the American people if we just see people and understand what they want for themselves and their families, and then meet them where they are.
Madam Vice President, I want to switch.
Okay. How do you feel
All
about
these,
that whole?
all these invisible people. The problem
Right.
is these people are invisible. We got to see them.
Right.
What are your thoughts? You go first.
Well, I mean, again, it's hard for me to get off the low energy problem. Kind of it colors the entire answer because it just feels like you're like reading a bunch of things you rehearsed as opposed to believing them. But that's just the consistent problem the whole interview.
Yeah, she has no
Um,
passion really about anything.
right.
Right.
In terms of the actual answer, I know what you mean about like the pocket thing. I think it's like a good concept that she's trying to get at. It's interesting. It's kind of trying to circumvent the Candace Owens-esque complaint of like the Democrats think, black people are gonna vote for them no matter what, blah, blah, blah. So, you shouldn't vote for them. And she's kind of trying to circumvent that, I guess, and also appeal to this idea of the young black male voter who maybe would vote for Trump instead of for her. I think that's what she's trying to appeal to in that answer. I don't know if that answer accomplishes that goal. So I think it's a good concept to be addressed. I don't think that answer actually accomplishes that because it just felt kind of like an empty platitude or an empty acknowledgement of that issue as opposed to, I don't know, a promise or an idea about, a reason to vote for her. So I don't know if that worked. I do like the thing she said directly after that, where she was trying to move away from identity politics and say, this isn't just about black people, it's about all Americans. I'm going to be president for everyone, blah, 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 blah. And I'm all like, okay, that's great. I like hearing that. That's a good thing to say. It's interesting because like the order of what she said, because she says all that, and then she immediately starts going back again into talking about like issues involving the black community. So I think she sort of kind of probably fixed the order maybe a bit, maybe talk about the issues of the black community, and then you end with we're going to bring everyone together because it just would make kind of more sense like structurally because it seems kind of weird the way that she was saying it. Because and then the issues that she was specifically talking about for the black community, I guess, I mean, eliminate medical debt from credit scores. That's interesting. I don't know if we've ever heard her say that before. I don't really know how that would affect. I don't know enough about how that would affect people's lives, whether or not that would be a good or a bad idea.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I'm in favor of the end of identity politics.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's a common perception that, white people got their bag
Right.
and, now it's our time. And I don't know if that, like specifically if you're talking about appealing to young black men, I don't know if it's more effective to lean into the identity politics or move away from them. Yeah.
Well, if they're
So
voting
look,
for
it
Trump,
appeals to me,
I mean,
obviously.
yeah, but if
I'm
you're trying to
white.
get people that are going to vote for Trump, obviously those people are not interested in identity politics, right?
Well, I think a lot of people are going to vote for Trump, and he even posed it in his question because he thinks Trump is going to produce an economy that works better for them. But
Right, but
it's
that's not
funny
like
because Trump does come out. This might be an interesting dilemma because Trump just comes out explicitly and says, "Look, the black community is going to love me. I'm going to do so much for the black community, right?
right.
You're going to have more jobs. It's going to rain money on the black community. I want you guys to buy houses, new cars, new puppy dogs. I want every black family to have a new Cadillac, right?
Right.
And Kamala can't really do that, right? Because everyone's going to say, "Oh, look, she's playing favorites," right?
Mm-hmm.
She's going to get some kind of backlash. Yeah, it's interesting because look, I do people who vote for Trump probably vote for Trump because they think he's going to be better with the economy and that's going to help everyone, right?
Right. Well, and Trump is better at selling that concept. Like, I'm just going to make the economy so much better that everyone's going to succeed, right?
Yeah,
I mean, and
totally.
he's a lot more, usually, he seems a lot more energetic when he says that. So it seems more like he believes in the concept.
Well, this for the first time, I really thought that this narrative that the left has taken, completely into their hearts, that white people got theirs and it's time for black people to get theirs
Right.
is really toxic politically,
Oh,
right?
it's
How do you,
horrible. It's a horrible idea. Yeah.
as a politician, like, how do you navigate that narrative? Like, because that's the narrative that a lot of people on the left want catered to. I mean, this is why James Carville will say, you know, taxing the rich will get you 73% of the Democratic Party, right? That one
Right.
policy will get you Democrats to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is interesting that she is uncomfortable and is trying her best to steer away from this. Like, I don't know. Obviously, we won't know if she wins. Like, is she going to maintain this kind of, I'm going to try to push the center, or is she going to be like, haha, I'm super woke Kamala, right? Go back to being that. Who the fuck knows?
Look,
But it's
didn't
interesting
Biden
that
get pushed way to the left?
he did. But Biden didn't run towards the center when he was running either. And that's what's kind of fascinating to me is this is a signal that there is at least a perception that all this woke shit doesn't work, or that it's hurting their chances to win the election.
Right.
That doesn't mean that she's gonna, stick to it steadfast if she wins, but it is interesting that is at least the perception of events in the country right now, is to shy away from this stuff.
The only thing that's stopping me from just calling it right now, saying, look, I've seen enough. There's no way this woman can be president. Like, she's just completely ill-equipped. It's kind of that, the psychological experiment where they showed just the face of the candidate to people, and people could tell on face alone, oh yeah, that's the guy that wins.
Mm-hmm.
Just, she doesn't exude the kind of confidence you need to be president of the United States.
No, not even remotely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So but the only thing that's stopping me is, look, I thought Biden was too old. I couldn't see Biden winning that election. I thought it's insane if Biden actually wins, but he did. So I'm thinking, maybe I'm off. Maybe people are getting a completely different perspective here.
It's because Trump is so despised, right? If this was a normal, candidate, I think you'd have we'd be in a very different situation at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know how much of it is media influence either, which is kind of scary.
Well, obviously that's part of, why people like or dislike Trump. So,
right. Well, as much for Kamala, because they've done a good job of branding Kamala.
Yes.
And who's watching this stuff other than us, right?
Sure. Well, they bring up the whole joyful warrior thing too, which that is a genius level of hilariously, dishonest rebranding.
She does not seem like she's having a good time in this interview.
No.
Trump seemed like he was having a better time, and he was in a completely hostile interview.
Right, and that's what's very interesting about that interview and about, Trump's performance in general in these sorts of conversations.
He was like, you started with such a nasty question. Such a nasty, nasty question. Why do you want to do that?
Well,
no hello, no how are you doing?
It's funny and interesting because part of, and we were just talking about Trump saying black and all this other stuff. Part of Trump's skill, whether it's intentional or that's just who he is. I've been more inclined to believe it's just like his personality, is that he makes things funny. Even when he's saying, no things, it's like he just has a funny, weird way of speaking. And so that gets a lot of traction. Like, nothing Kamala says in this interview is going to get traction at all.
No. Yeah. But the point is not to get traction. The point is to make incremental improvement so that she can actually do some real interviews. Yeah.
Well, I guess you're right. Well, we're getting close to the election, so she's got to, move quick here.
She's got to speed it up a notch. Yeah, that's why I'm saying, look, 6 a.m. every morning, you get on the local station.
How many places already have early voting, going on?
Oh, I know.
Now or very soon, so.
The thing about the early voting is, those are the people who've already they made their minds up 4 years ago who they were going to vote for, right?
I guess that's true. That's a good point.
So I won't be early voting. I'll be turning
You're gonna be out right there on election day,
Yeah. Well, anything could happen. I don't want to miss the good stuff, right? I'm not looking forward to voting for either of these clowns. So
Right.
okay, I'll hit it.
Gears a little bit and talk about the war in Gaza. You've called for a ceasefire hostage deal and a two-state solution as an end to the war for many months now. And while you've expressed support for Israel to defend itself, a two-state solution and a ceasefire are at odds with what Benjamin Netanyahu has said is their right to defense. If it matters, as you say, how Israel defends itself, where do you see the line between aggression and defense? And our power as Israel's ally to do something?
Okay, a lot to unpack in what you just said. So let's start with this. I absolutely believe that this war has to end, and it has to end as soon as possible. And the way that will be achieved is by getting a hostage deal and a ceasefire deal done. And we are working around the clock to achieve that end. Stepping back, October 7, 1,200 Israelis were slaughtered, and actually in some Americans.
This is a perfect opportunity for a follow-up because she said this like 18 times.
I know.
We're working around the clock.
Yeah.
Okay, what are some of the things that you're doing? You keep saying that you're working around the clock. What tasks are being accomplished around the clock? Are you waiting for a phone call? What's going on here?
Well, it is. I mean, this answer is, is a total, like, kind of BS pivot answer, right?
Totally.
Oh, we got to work around the clock on like a magic deal. It's like, oh, okay, that's great. Wow, a magic deal that's going to solve everything.
We're working on it.
Right.
I mean, you're in this interview right now.
You're not working at this moment.
By the way, in that number, slaughtered. Young people who were attending a concert. Women were horribly raped. And yes, so I have said, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would.
But Madam Vice President, I think my ask is the difference between aggression and defense.
No, but it's important to put it in context, which is what I'm doing, and I'll get to that. And so how it does so matters. And far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Women and children. We have seen with horror the images coming out of Gaza. And we have to take that seriously. And we have to agree that not only must we end this war, but we have to have a goal of a two-state solution, because there must be stability and peace in that region, in as much as what we do in our goal is to ensure that Israelis have security and Palestinians in equal measure have security, have self-determination and dignity.
A question for you on that, though. What levers does the U.S. have to support Palestinians in their right to self-determination? And is it even possible as Israel's ally?
Well, absolutely. I will tell you, I have been actively involved in, for example, meeting not only with Israeli officials, but with Arab officials to talk about how we can construct a day after scenario where we participate in ensuring those exact goals that I outlined, including as part of the principles that should be applied to those goals, that there be no reoccupation of Gaza, that there be no changing of the territorial lines in Gaza, that there be an ability to have security in the region for all concerned in a way that we create stability, and let us also recognize in a way that ensures that Iran is not empowered in this whole scenario in terms of the peace and stability of the region. But absolutely, the United States of America absolutely has a role, which is why we have been active, in particular with the Qataris and the Egyptians, around attempting to get a deal done and get it done as quickly as possible.
But Madam Vice President, just to...
Okay, so well, first of all, it's kind of interesting because the questioners, obviously,
Oh yeah,
they mad.
Palestinian.
Well, they mad. They're on the the pro-Palestinian side of things, which is fine, and I'm glad that they're trying to ask difficult questions. She kind of gave this like vague, um, she gave like a vague non-answer. The only thing that she said in there that was somewhat interesting was saying that they're gonna, not want Israel to do a reoccupation of Gaza or change the borders because I don't foresee that as happening. I I wonder
Oh, of
though,
course not. Yeah, that's
right?
ridiculous.
I wonder. I don't know if is there like a way to answer this question that's both good and honest? Because I don't think there is an honest answer. Because I would guess that the honest answer is there will probably never be a solution until Benjamin Netanyahu is not in charge of Israel anymore. But you can't say that directly without causing a
Right.
massive shitstorm.
Well,
So
and look, even if Netanyahu is not there anymore, I still don't know if like two-state solution is not really an option.
no, yes, that's another thing too, is I don't think that that's a viable option at this point either. So, but can an American politician say any of this stuff?
No, yeah, you're exactly right. You're like, you can't tell the truth, and voters want the truth, so you got
Right.
to
I mean, that's
dance
why
around it, right?
you got Trump saying like, he just says he's going to fix it. And you're like, okay, I don't know what that means, right? He's just saying he's going to fix it. Kamala's saying, and he says that it wouldn't have happened if he was president, which is like, okay, well, it's irrelevant to the future. And then we have, you know, Kamala just kind of saying the empty platitudes of the two-state solution thing, which just doesn't seem viable anymore. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's an answer to this question. That's like a real answer that anyone could ever give. I guess the answer would be to say, and I think I don't know if she said it there, or she says it later, is to just say, America believes in the two-state solution. We believe that Israel should, kind of the same answer she's giving. Israel has the right to protect its borders, but also the Gazan, the Palestinian people have right to dignity. And I cannot give you specifics about deals that we're working on, because that would damage our ability to negotiate and to help with negotiations, on both sides of the issue. Right. I guess that'd
That's
be like the
good.
most
Yeah,
honest way to sort of frame it.
Trump does that all the time. Where he's
Right.
like, look, this is a negotiation tactic. I can't tell you everything.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to look up the issues that matter to independent voters, and
I
because
don't know
my
how many of
gut,
them care about this.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing their party a massive disservice every time they want to talk about Israel Palestine for 45 minutes when independent voters could care less. Like the closest I can find here is protecting allies, and it's Democrats, and it's only 56%, and that would actually be more about Israel. Like there's nothing that is specifically about Israel Palestine in any of these like issues that people care about.
No, well, whenever they talk about answer the question about Israel and Gaza, I mean, this isn't about getting, undecided independent voters. This is about getting those people who are, hyper fixated, either pro-Israel or pro-Palestinian, who, they're probably not a lot, but there's enough of them that maybe single issue vote on this, that if you don't give an answer that they feel makes them comfortable, they're gonna like freak the fuck out and maybe not vote for you.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see internal polling on that. That's one of the, if I was on the Democratic side, that's one of the first things I would be asking about. Like, how important are these voters to our voter coalition?
Right. Yeah. Does anyone really give a shit about this?
Right.
I don't know.
Anyway, let's continue
To
with
follow up really
Israel
quickly,
Palestine.
is there a specific policy change that you, as president of the United States, would say you would do that would help this along? Because you've gotten a lot of credit for emphasizing the humanity of Palestinians, but what I often hear from folks is that there's no policy change that either you or the President Biden have gone and said they would do. Is there a specific policy change as president that you would do in our helping of Israel?
We need to get this deal done, and we need to get it done immediately, and that is my position, and that is my policy. We need to get this deal done.
But in the way that we
That's such a bad answer.
Oh
We
my
need to get
God.
this deal done. Oh, okay, great,
We need to
wonderful.
get this deal done.
Yeah.
Well, don't you really need to know what the deal is
Yeah.
before you can get it done?
No,
I
we're
mean,
just gonna
that's
get it done,
usually
Adam. Just get it done. That's all that
yeah.
matters.
Okay. Look, usually if you're buying a car, you want to know what it costs, right? There's
No,
certain
no. Just gonna
like
get it done. All right.
there's certain details that the deal cannot get done without knowing. So,
Adam,
yes.
I'm going to get the deal done. All right.
Okay.
Period. End of statement.
She unironically is going the Trump route, but not near as effective at selling it. So
No.
nobody look, all these people probably support her. They're gonna vote blue no matter who. They ain't buying it.
We send weapons in the way that we interact as their ally. Are there specific policy changes?
Well, Eugene, for example, one of the things that we have done that I am
I love that crackling that they put in her microphone too. They really
You like
did
that?
her dirty.
You really
Yeah.
like that? Yeah.
They put her in a chair where she can't turn to the audience. It's funny that these are the journalists, right?
You're right.
Evidently,
They totally
none of them
fucked
have
her.
had
Yeah.
any media training at all.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Whatever.
entirely supportive of is the pause that we've put on the 2,000-pound bombs. And so there is some leverage that we have had and used. But ultimately, the thing that is going to unlock everything else in that region is getting this deal done. And I'm not going to disclose private conversations, but I will tell you, I've had direct conversations with the Prime Minister, with the President of Israel, with Egyptian leaders.
Look, she talked to Netanyahu. Didn't she not specifically not talk to him when he came to Washington and everyone was giving her a hard time?
I don't remember. Yeah, that's what people said. Did she say the president of Israel? Does Israel even have? Oh,
I don't know.
I didn't even know Israel had a president.
Our allies. And I think we've made ourselves very clear this deal needs to get done in the best interest of everyone in the region, including getting those hostages out who, I mean, we saw the latest example of what happened with the 6 most recently, one of whom was an American citizen.
But what do you say to those that say that's not enough, that stopping the 2,000-pound bombs the one time wasn't enough, that this administration, your policy...
You know, I might get in trouble for saying this. Okay.
Good. That's what I want.
One of my pet peeves is when people, they decide that they're going to look away based on their politics or based on their interests. So fucking obvious, right? It's like a stereotype. And so it's like, of course, you get the guy who has literally the afro and the unshaven face who's like, I care so much about these leftist causes.
Isn't he wearing an armband?
And he's wearing some kind of armband or something. I don't know. It just bothers me on like a weird personal level. You know, when I see people who on the left or the right, where it's like you look at them and you're like, I know all your politics just by looking at you. I would, as a rampant individualist, I would like people to have some level of mystery when you look at them, that you don't be like, I know exactly what your politics are.
Do I look my politics? Please tell me I don't.
I don't think so. No, I think just like a random individual man.
Nobody even thinks I'm into politics. It's great.
There you go. They're like, who's this artist guy here?
Nobody thinks I'm like, nobody ever suspects me of any of the things that I do. It's great.
I know. It's interesting. See, that's the way it should be. It should be like a little level of mystery when you interact with someone. Like, what does this person believe, right?
Works out great at the mechanic.
There you go.
Nobody believes I'm a gearhead. They try to sell me a bunch of shit I don't need.
Possibly administration has to do more.
Well, we are doing the work of putting the pressure on all parties involved to get the deal done. But let me be very clear also. I support Israel's ability to defend itself.
Yeah.
And I support the need for Palestinians to have dignity, self-determination, and security as we move forward and get a state deal done, but right now the thing we need to get done is this hostage deal and this ceasefire deal. We need a ceasefire. We need the hostage deal.
I want to switch gears to racial justice, Madam Vice President. Last month, you eulogized Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee.
Yeah.
Jackson Lee's signature bill, one of a few, was H.R. 40, which would create a commission to study the history of U.S. slavery and study the issue of reparations. She introduced H.R. 40 every session of Congress, taking up the mantle from Congressman John Conyers. This is a bill that you have co-sponsored as a U.S. Senator. Yet, this has, despite the fact that this has been, similar commissions have been created on the state level and on the local level, is yet to pass in Congress, let alone come out of committee. Congresswoman Jackson Lee, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, and other advocates have called for President Biden to take executive action to create this commission. Would you, as president, take executive action to create this commission, or do you believe that it should happen in Congress?
I want there to be like a little internal dialogue that we can all hear. We can hear it be like, you motherfucker, why are you doing this to me? Why are you trying to fuck me like this? You bring up fucking reparations? Are you crazy? What the fuck's wrong with you? You fucking piece of shit. Just like totally mad about this whole line of questioning.
Yeah, right now she's wishing she had some of those Fox News hosts. I'm telling you.
Right.
Right?
Fucking reparations question, Jesus.
Well, first of all, as you mentioned, Sheila Jackson Lee, she was an extraordinary leader who we just recently lost, and she was a friend and a real champion for so many issues. So I feel compelled to say that about her. On the issue of what we need to do going forward, look, first of all, we just need to speak truth about history in spite of the fact that some people would try and erase history and try and teach our children otherwise.
Pushing the CRT myth. Okay, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We need to speak truth about the generational impact of our history in terms of the generational impact of slavery, the generational impact of redlining, of Jim Crow law. I could go on and on and on. These are facts that have had impact. And we need to speak truth about it. And we need to speak truth about it in a way that is about deriving solutions. And frankly, I think that we, and part of that is studying it to figure out exactly what we need to do. But part of what we can do right now is, for example, what I'm talking about in terms of building an opportunity economy, which is addressing explicitly the obstacles that historically and currently exist and dealing with them. Student loan debt, medical debt, bias in home appraisals. What we need to do in terms of dealing with an issue that I have championed for years, black maternal mortality, which is the fact that black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in connection with childbirth than other women. And we know that the reasons for that include disparities that pre-exist her pregnancy, including disparities that exist in the system during her pregnancy. So all of those things must be addressed.
But do you have a position on whether that should happen, this commission should happen through executive order or via Congress?
He's like, listen,
wow.
I asked you about reparations and you gave me a bunch of bullshit. Answer my reparations question, bitch.
Wow. Wow. Putting thumb screws to her.
Hilarious.
Executive order for reparations. How's she going to handle this one?
Well, it's so funny too, because it's not even for it's for a executive order for a committee to look into this, right? Which like these committee things, this is like the number one way that they kill things that they don't want to talk about. They say, oh, here's a hard question. Let's have a committee look into it, right? And the committee looks into it for like 3 years and they come back. Oh, we looked into this thing for 3 years and we decided it's not going to work. Oh, there you go. There's your stupid committee, right?
Yeah, no.
I think Congress ultimately will have the ability to do this work. I'm not discounting the importance of any executive action, but ultimately Congress. Because if you're going to talk about it in any substantial way, there will be hearings, there will be...
I'm not doing it, bitch. Take that.
Yeah.
You want an executive order out of me? Suck it.
No. No fucking way. Yeah, she's like, hell no.
You send it over there to Congress. They don't do jack shit.
Yeah.
A level of public education and dialogue that, and I think that was part of the spirit behind the congressional action thus far, to ensure that everyone can participate in this conversation in a way that elevates.
We all going to sit around and talk about it. She's basically describing the committee you described.
Right, right.
You know, Sheila Jackson liked to talk a lot. Now, she introduced this bill every session so she could get up there and talk her ass off.
And I, as president, will support more Congress people talking in committees about things they want to do.
Yes.
Yes, because I'm so brave and bold. We need to talk more about things we want to do.
Yeah. We just need to be, people need to be seen and talked about.
Knowledge about history and the reference points that have...
We need to talk more about history.
That are the impetus of this conversation.
Impotent history.
Especially, again, when people are trying to deny history. When people are, you know...
Oh, no.
Deny history.
Deny history.
Right.
All these people. Is she going to throw out DeSantis?
So-called leaders are saying that enslaved people benefited from slavery. I mean,
oh, she did?
I told you. I told you. Never. Never question me, Sitch. Never. Every time. I know exactly where they're going.
Did the thing.
Yes, she did. Hell yeah, she did the thing.
She did the thing.
Benefited from slavery. Oh, those Floridians.
Right.
How dare they teach that in the schools?
That thing that's not being taught. Yeah.
Talk about the Delta here in terms of the work that needs to be done. It's profound.
Madam Vice President, I want to move to Springfield.
So, okay, overall, hilarious answer.
I know, that was the funniest one.
Obviously, you know, doesn't want to even touch the reparations stick with a 10-foot pole. So does this massive, you know, duck, dodge, you know, dip, dive, dodge routine around this whole question. So very funny. And then I guess, I mean, I don't like the whole DeSantis thing, you know, but she's like trying to like, I got to throw something, right? I got to throw something out. I got to throw, it's like when you're being chased by the bear and you have to throw like a little, like, you have like a little cartoon steak.
Totally.
Yeah, you have to like throw out into the woods to like distract them. Like, oh, DeSantis, he wants to teach you that slavery was good. You throw it out there and they go, ah, they go after that instead. You're like, see, I'm on your side.
Yeah.
Even though I don't want to talk about reparations at all, because that's a horrible fucking issue.
Yeah. I've seen this personally.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what do you mean?
Connor throwing out a bone about us being audience capture. Just
right,
meat.
Yes,
little red meat for the audience here.
100%. That's what that was. Yeah,
of course. Yeah,
true.
It's a typical political tactic.
Yep.
Ohio and what's happening there. We've seen school closures, parents worried about their kids leaving the home because of racist conspiracy theories that I won't repeat here, but they have been repeated by...
Oh, look, he doesn't have an armband. It's the other guy's microphone. It just looks like an armband.
What are you talking about?
Leader.
I thought you were talking about he's got like red shirt on or like a red cuff. He's got like a white arm piece, doesn't he?
No, it's just the other guy's microphone looked like an armband.
Oh. You thought he had like an armband. I was looking at his wrist.
Oh, okay. No, I was looking at his arm.
I thought, yeah. Okay, I got you. You thought he had like a fucking...
I did, yeah.
Like Nazi
like, holy
armband.
Shit.
Okay, no.
Got like a Black Power armband on.
No. Don't be silly.
I mean, let's talk about the Delta here in terms of the work that needs to be done. It's profound.
Madam Vice President, I want to move to Springfield, Ohio, and what's happening there. We've seen school closures.
Yeah, it's the dogs.
I missed the beginning. I was like, what the fuck is he talking about?
We're having to lay off dog catchers in Springfield because there ain't no fucking dogs left.
Oh my God. I don't think that's the question.
Come on, it's a comedy show, Sitch. You got to throw some jokes in.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Fair enough.
Parents worried about their kids leaving the home because of racist conspiracy theories that I won't repeat here, but they have been repeated by.
Oh my God, he is doing it. He's doing it. He's like, oh, black folks are holed up in their apartments. They don't want to leave because they're afraid they're going to get accusations of eating someone's cat.
Yep.
You think this is really happening?
No. No. I
Oh
don't think
my
that's really happening.
God. Can you imagine such a thing? Oh.
I could.
Leaders on the Republican side, President Trump, Vice President, former President Trump, and Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance. From your perspective, is this just a case of irredeemable racism that can't be mitigated by any rational action, or is this a situation in which a federal response could help this community heal?
Oh my God.
What the fuck? What is that even? What is the question that he's being asked here? A federal response? What does a federal response look like in this scenario?
He's totally trying to impress her. Back to let's hear this question again. We'll break it down.
That can't be mitigated by and Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance. From your perspective, is this just a case of irredeemable racism that can't be mitigated by any rational action, or?
Okay, this is racism that we can't rationally do anything about.
Right.
Or is this a situation in which a federal response could help this community heal?
Or can we have some kind of federal response to help the people who've experienced a racism get over
Right, but
it?
like what would that even look like? What would be a quote
Kittens
federal
for everyone. You go in with a whole big box of
okay.
kittens, like thousands of kittens. You're like, look.
When people in Springfield are being accused of eating cats and dogs, I don't think the solution, Adam, is to give them a box of kittens.
Oh, okay. Well, look,
that is a mistake.
I thought we were going to replace the eating kittens, but
oh,
you're
no.
right. They probably will just boil them all and make a big
no.
stew.
He's saying, no, you fool. He's saying, how do we redress the issues that the black community has faced? Okay.
Right.
He's not saying give kittens to the white people.
Well, look, no, I was talking about giving to the black people.
That's going to make it look like you're giving them kittens to eat, Adam. That's a terrible solution.
Look, I thought the problem was the Haitians, and they just so happen to be black. I'm sure the Haitians are eating everybody's cats. Black,
okay,
white,
so you're saying giving the black
Mexican,
but non-Haitian people kittens. You have to be very
you
specific.
put up a big sign. You say no Haitians allowed, and
I
give out kittens.
The government drives up in a truck. They have a big box, and it says free kittens, no Haitian.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? For some reason, I don't think that policy is going to go well with the Kamala Harris campaign. I just some reason. I'm not exactly sure. I can't put my finger on it, but
right, yeah, she should trot it out with the drug prison. Sell them as a combo.
There you go.
There's a question of resources and.
Oh my God. She immediately started rolling his eyes, and he started asking more questions.
Wait, did she really? Wait, I missed it.
Yeah, look at this.
Rational action, or is this a situation in which a federal response could help this community heal? There's a question of resources and.
No, why did he do that? She's like literally about to answer, that he just cuts her off. That's hilarious.
No, he's saving her. He's saving her right here. She's like, what the fuck is this question?
I mean, you're right. That was because it's a fucking dumb question.
Right now she's thinking, God damn, they were easier on Trump. What the fuck are these people doing?
Yeah, she's like, this guy motherfucker's trying to ruin my shot here. Reparations, this fucking
she shakes her head. She shakes her head.
I know.
I guess she's basically trying to say, yeah, that Trump, Vance, them and their racism.
Yeah, maybe.
Look, I like the memes, okay? I think it's funny, but listen, guys.
This is what's going on, okay? They're white people, okay, in Springfield driving around, and they have boom boxes that are playing Trump with a remix. They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, and they just blast it whenever they see a black person walking by, and they point at them and they say, "It's you! It's you!"
Do they really? Look,
No,
you know how I feel about stereotypes. I do not like racist stereotypes at all.
Right.
If that's going on, I totally condemn it, right? But these songs are pretty good, and this whole idea That
As
a
long as
bunch
it's a
of
good song, you're on board with it. Okay.
look, this needs to be made into a Hollywood screenplay. Okay, a bunch of Haitian immigrants take over Springfield, Illinois, and eat all the animals.
I don't know if that's going to be a good Hollywood screenplay.
Look, it's like The Purge,
Oh my God.
but with Haitians.
It's terrible.
I think it would be good.
No, I'll let you finish, and then I'll speak.
No, please.
It's a crying shame.
Here we go.
I mean, my heart breaks for this community. You know, there were children, elementary school children, who it was school photo day.
What?
You remember what that's like? Going to school on picture day?
Oh my God.
What is happening? Wait, what is happening here? Why does she, what's
she's
going
trying
on?
to she's trying to be relatable to the audience. She's like, I know all of you remember picture day.
Yeah, but like the tone just shifted in a real weird fucking way.
Picture day, Sitch.
awesome.
Do you
It's awesome.
remember it or what?
Like her vibe, like shifted.
Sitch,
Okay.
what were you doing on picture day?
I remember picture day like it was yesterday, Adam.
Oh, okay. Dude,
My
really?
mother,
Bullshit.
she put. I hated picture day because my mother made me
Everyone
wear-
hated everyone I knew hated picture day.
Of course,
what are you
because
talking about?
your parents
They'd
they make
spring
you
it
put
on you completely unprepared. You'd be
like,
like,
nice
what? Picture day is
clothing.
today?
You're like, I don't want to wear this little polo shirt with your little clip-on tie because you're like, oh, it hurts my neck. I can't breathe.
Oh my
You know, they
God. You
put
had a
you in-
way different experience.
They put you in the little suit. They're like, let me comb your hair. And you're like, stop it, mom. And then you're dressed up all nice. You go outside. And as soon as you walk outside, what happens? There's some fucking piece of shit bully across the street. And he's like, hey, you, why are you wearing your Sunday best just to go eat some cats and dogs? And you go, no, I didn't eat the cat and the dog. And then they run around. They go, kitten eater, puppy eater.
I don't remember that, but look, you must have went to a nice school. My school was more like mug shots. But we need
Oh,
to
really?
record
Okay.
what you look like for when you end up in prison.
There you go.
Who were dressed up in their best, got all ready, knew what they were going to wear the night before, and had to be evacuated. Children.
Well, okay. Look, this story's not going off well at all.
Well, I guess she's talking about the bomb threat thing.
Oh,
So
I didn't know it was picture day on the bomb
I
threat
didn't know that either. No.
when this happened. I don't know where we are or what's going on. Look, Kamala, call some of your Hollywood friends. It
Right.
begins with exterior, establishing.
A whole community put in fear. And I'll say a couple things about it. One, I learned a long time ago in my career, having a background as a prosecutor, when you have these positions, when you have that kind of microphone in front of you, you really ought to understand at a very deep level how much your words have meaning. I learned at a very young stage of my career that the meaning of my words could impact whether somebody was free or in prison.
Gulp.
As Attorney General, I was of California, fifth largest economy in the world. I was acutely aware that my words could move markets. When you are bestowed with a microphone that is that big, there is a profound responsibility that comes with that. That is an extension of what should not be lost in this moment, this concept of the public trust. To then understand what the public trust means. It means that you have been invested with trust to be responsible in the way you use your words, much less how you conduct yourself. And especially when you have been and then seek to be again President of the United States of America. And so I go back to, it's a crying shame, literally, what's happening to those families, those children in that community, not to mention what is happening in terms of, look, you say you care about law enforcement resources being put into this because of these serious threats that are being issued against a community that is living a productive, good life before this happened. And spewing lies that are grounded in tropes that are age-old. And look, I said it not very far from here the other day at the debate. This is not new. This is not new in terms of these tropes. This is not new in terms of where it's coming from. And, you know, whether it is refusing to rent to people, rent to black families, whether it is taking out a full-page ad in the New York Times against 5 innocent black and Latino teenagers, the Central Park 5, calling for their execution, whether it is referring to the first black president of the United States with a lie, birther lies. And look, the American people deserve, and I do believe want better than this. I do believe that. I know, the vast majority of us as Americans know we have so much more in common than what separates us. I know that. I know that regardless of someone's background, their race, their gender, their geographic location, I know that people are deeply troubled by what is happening to that community in Springfield, Ohio. And it's got to stop. And we've got to say that you cannot be entrusted with standing behind the seal of the President of the United States of America, engaging in that hateful rhetoric that, as usual, is designed to divide us as a country.
God, I'm falling asleep over here. I mean, Barack Obama would say this so much better, but
Obviously.
it's pretty boring.
Well, you know, right.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, you know, I said earlier the tactic of like the bear is coming for you, so you throw the stake out.
Yeah.
This is that times 1,000.
Oh, okay.
Because the
Throwing
question,
the whole carcass out.
right? Because well, it's you throw Donald Trump out. Because the question was, you know, Donald Trump, Orange Man bad. He said the racist. Him and JD Vance said the racism's about eating the pets. You know, is this just the racism that we have to live in our society, or should the federal government do something? Which is like, I don't know what the fuck that even supposed to mean. You want them to be like thrown in jail for saying something you didn't like. So, you know, she doesn't have an answer to this question that I mean, there are ways to answer the question I think would be very based, which would be like, you know, I think what Donald Trump said is fucking racist, but we live in America that has free speech, and, you know, you should respect that. And the number one tool you should use in America, if you don't like what he said, is not to vote for him, to vote for me, right? Boom. But, you know, she doesn't want to say that because she doesn't want to piss off the woke people too much. So she gives this total bullshit answer about like, you know, Donald Trump is evil and racist, and, you know, he doesn't respect the value of speaking from the podium of the president, right? And then she's like playing out the clock. She's trying to say the answer as long as possible to try to prevent any sort of follow-up, essentially.
Yeah, she's running out the clock.
Right.
She's filibustering.
She's 100% filibustering. Now I think it's going to work 100%. So I guess, you know, good on her. I guess
well,
from a strategy standpoint, it's going to work. So.
As long as she's talking about the racism and discrimination, they're a captive audience.
Right.
I didn't know. So that 1,500 migrants that were under the bridge, remember that big news story? Most of them were Haitian. I didn't know that.
What are you talking about? What bridge?
Remember when there was here, I'll send you an article in Politico. There was a bunch of, you know, the migrant border crisis where they had 1,500 people.
Mm-hmm.
And everything started, you know, obviously Elon Musk went down there and whatnot. You don't remember any of this?
I mean, there's always been a border issue. I don't remember Oh, I saw a picture and I remember talking about, yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
So
Okay.
that's like mostly Haitians. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh, this is from a while ago. But
is
yes,
this,
I
are
do.
we talking about Springfield, Illinois or Springfield, Ohio is I think where it is.
Ohio is where we're talking about. Or is, this recent thing. So
Right. Okay. Yeah, no. I need to look more into this. I don't know what they're talking a bunch of shit. I don't know if they're eating the cats or the dogs. I'm super apathetic about that. I don't care. So I
you
want to
don't
know
care,
about,
Adam, if they're eating the pets?
well, look, if they're eating my cat or dog, I'm going to care, right? But
Right.
look, this is for this you fine citizens of Ohio, Springfield, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you better guard your dogs and cats with your life, okay? Don't let any Haitian immigrants go and eat them. If in fact they are doing that. So,
My
but I don't.
understanding.
Why is this like turned into? Oh, this is a racism.
Well, because the idea is that if you're saying something that's untrue, you're basically promoting racist stereotypes, right?
Yeah, but we don't know if it is true or untrue, and different cultures have different. Like in some cultures, it's perfectly fine to eat cat and dog.
Right, but that's the issue here, is that they're saying, okay, if you're going to promote a negative stereotype as untrue, that in Haitian culture it's totally acceptable to like scoop up animals you find on the street that are cats and dogs and eat them, and they could be somebody's pets. You're kind of fomenting a negative stereotype about this group of people that's going to cause anger, conflicts, blah 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 blah, right?
Yes.
Okay.
BBC Springfield grapples with false rumors and real problems. City estimates that the number of Haitians here range from 12,000 to 20,000 in a city previously home to 60,000.
Right.
So
Which
that's
is the
like
actual issue. Yeah.
so one third of the population.
Right. Was
That's
increased over
yeah.
4 or 5 years,
Yes.
however long it's been. Yeah. Right. So obviously there's going to be a lot of conflict in a situation where something like that happens.
Dude, you're gonna feel like, oh my God, the whole town turned Haitian overnight.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
1 in 4 people are Haitian. They went from 0 Haitians to 1 in 4.
Okay. Yeah, I know. But that's the problem, is that that's like a real issue that needs to be addressed without creating like a fake story about, eating pets or whatever. That actually detracts from the issue, because then people say, oh, well, you're just racist. And then that covers up the news cycle. So then if there's actual stories about, just resource drains or whatever, people aren't going to talk about it because they're just talking about the stupid pets thing.
Why are there Haitian immigrants in Springfield? According to immigration advocates, many Haitians who relocated to Springfield are drawn by its relatively low cost of living and ample employment opportunities, including manufacturing jobs the city's Chamber of Commerce has worked to create.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To answer the question about the pets thing, I'm pretty sure so far that the thing I immediately said when the story came out turned out to be completely true, which I said, there's probably some instances of people, eating ducks in a park, or, grabbing something like that, like ducks or chickens or something. And that got spun into some kind of narrative about people stealing pets, and that's not true. And I believe that's exactly what turned out to be the case.
Do you know how many Haitians there are in Florida?
There's a decent amount, I believe.
500,000.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that. Well, anyway, I don't. They're not saying anything yet. Here, we can continue, but she's like,
Is designed.
It is designed to be. This is why. Look, it's like, oh, going back to the identity politics. You think Obama would say stuff like this? Hell no.
I think he would say something like this for like 10 seconds. Like, my opponent, was very responsible saying this, blah, 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 blah. And then he'd move on to spend the majority of the message talking about,
some
uniting
important
the
thing that
country.
would appeal to all voters.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
We need to unite the country, blah, 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 blah.
To have people pointing fingers at each other. It's designed to do that. And I think most people in our country, regardless of their race, are...
I fucking hate this. I totally hate this. Do you
Why?
think do you think this is designed to, like, Donald Trump, who's literally trying to court black voters? Do you think he designed this racist stereotype thing to, like, point the racism at potential black voters? Think that's what's going on here?
I don't think it's designed to point at black voters. I think it's designed to point at immigration and immigrants.
Yeah. It's designed to talk about the immigration problem, not
No,
but for racist stereotypes.
No, I completely disagree with you. It is 1000% designed to foment negative stereotypes about immigrants coming into countries and to fearmonger and to say, you know, I mean, this has been Trump's message the whole time, is they're all coming across the border, because he literally said in a campaign speech after the debate, after he talks about their eating the pets, he starts talking about them like raping women and shit. Okay, the whole thing is designed to foment fear, to say that the hordes are coming across the border to destroy your cities, to eat your pets, to rape your women, and you have to elect me to erect the wall to keep the barbarians out. That's the entire point of all this.
But what they're talking about here is that they're saying the immigrants are bad to make racist stereotypes about all black people.
Right. That is not, I don't believe that is the case.
Okay. So that's not, so she's wrong then.
If that's
like
what she's saying,
her
then
argument is the reason Donald Trump is saying this stuff is not because he cares about immigration. It's because he wants to make racist stereotypes about black people.
yeah, she's kind of leaning into this thing, which is, I think, is a silly idea. I mean, maybe this existed once, but I don't think it exists now. Idea that like they're all trying to divide us by race or whatever, so that we won't, fight them on class, or we won't, allow them to do X.
Oh, you
Y,
think
Z.
that's what she's slipping into?
Maybe. I don't know. Well, let's hear a second.
Rhetoric that, as usual, is designed to divide us as a country, is designed to have people pointing fingers at each other. It's designed to do that.
See, she's talking about dividing black and white Americans. No,
Yes.
it's designed to unite black and white Americans against these fucking Haitian immigrants. That's exactly what it's designed to do.
No. I don't agree. First of all, I think that's kind of silly. Okay. Because if you have a rhetoric that I believe, as I said, is primarily supposed to be aimed at anti-immigration, right? We have a story that's about like black immigrants. Obviously, even if it's unintentional, there's going to be a lot of like overlap in terms of, if there is hatred or something that, is created in a community, because people aren't necessarily going to be like, oh, let me, before I have feelings about a black person, let me walk up to make sure, are you Haitian born, or, where are you from? Right. That's not exactly the way that people's brains function.
It's to unite Americans against illegal immigration.
But this isn't illegal. This is completely legal immigrants. These are legally.
These Haitian immigrants are legal?
Are all legal, yes.
Are you sure?
Yes, because the reason that they're there is because after there was the big earthquake, and then the country, I think after there was the big earthquake, America basically was allowing a bunch of Haitian immigrants to come in, and then they also suspended any deportations of illegal Haitian immigrants that were already here.
Because of the earthquake?
Because of the earthquake, and the government couldn't like deal with it. And then obviously Haiti right now is kind of devolved into like insanity. So
yeah, chaos. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, no, I believe all
probably some of the only legitimate asylum seekers crossing the border. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So yeah, no, I believe they're all here completely legally, or at least they're seen by the government as being here legally at the moment.
Okay. I don't know much about the Haiti situation. I've read very little on it, so but I have seen like bits and pieces. But I do look, I completely disagree with this. Like, this is drifting back into the old, Republicans just want to make negative stereotypes of black people, which I don't know how you have a conversation about immigration without Democrats making this hideous charge.
And I think most people in our country, regardless of their race, are starting to see through this nonsense And to say, you know what, let's turn the page on this. This is exhausting and it's harmful.
No, we want to turn the page on your identity politics. We want America to be the important ethnicity, not skin color.
Okay, hold on. I agree with everything you're saying. But, okay, you can't just throw this anger at Kamala, which he's literally reacting to Trump doing the very thing you're saying.
What?
Creating this super identity politics issue about like, oh, the illegal immigrants are coming to eat your pets and rape your women.
Well, I had never saw the rape your women clip, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you understand, well, I mean, even though you haven't seen that clip, obviously you understand this has been like, this is why Trump keeps pushing illegal immigration, the whole thing over and over and over again, is because despite it being an actual problem, because it is, because people are abusing the asylum situation, that, you know, if you have a reasoned position on it, that's not what gets you votes. You have to hyperbolize everything. Even remember, this is what Hutch said on, Sunday, like, I believe politicians should hyperbolize, or, that they hyperbolize their things, blah, 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 in order to get votes. And like, that's what Donald Trump is doing with all the illegal immigration stuff.
So you buy into that he's playing up immigration because he wants to make these racist stereotypes? I just don't understand how you court black voters.
I did not say that. I did not say that.
What's the deal?
I said he's hiding up negative stereotypes about immigrants in order to get people to vote for him, because he says he's going to be strong on immigration, and people believe that he's going to be much stronger in immigration than Kamala Harris is.
Right.
It's not a race thing.
Look, and people are tired of the illegal immigration.
I understand that.
But not because they're racist, because they're tired of immigrants coming in and taking up all the resources.
I get that, but you can have that conversation, because there really is a problem with illegal immigration in this country. And well, it's really more a problem with people abusing the asylum situation in the country. But you can have that conversation without spreading negative, dishonest stereotypes about people eating your pets and raping your women.
Right. Yeah.
That's the issue. And if you're going to say like, oh my God, I don't like Kamala Harris doing this identity politics shit, it's like, well, okay, that's fine. I agree with you. But she is reacting to Donald Trump, who's massively leaning on this identity politics issue in a very specific way.
I don't know that it's like 10D chess. I'm going to talk about eating the.
It's not 10D chess. It's very simple. It's I make people afraid of illegal immigrants. They vote for me because I'm strong on immigration. It's like the most simple thing. This is what he's been doing when he first ran in like 2016.
People already are afraid of illegal immigrants. I don't like. How do you need to make them more afraid?
Then why is he? So why is he doing? He's just doing it because he just thinks it's funny. He's just like, oh,
no, he's doing it because somebody. It was a story that he latched onto. The people are scared.
I'm saying, why is he's been pushing the illegal immigrant button from the beginning, from 2016 onward. Okay.
Right.
And this literally his first campaign speech, when he comes down that fucking escalator is, they're sending their drug dealers, their rapists, and some whom are fine people. Okay.
Right.
This has been his go-to strategy from the beginning, is to hit this illegal immigrants are coming here and they're all gonna fucking rape and eat you.
Right. Okay. So, and you could make a case if illegal immigration wasn't a problem then. Like, I haven't studied illegal immigration all the way back to 2016, but so let's just say, for the sake of argument, that there is no problem with illegal immigration in 2016, and he's hitting that button because he wants to drive those voters to the poll. There is a problem with illegal immigration in 2024, right?
Of course.
Okay. So you're saying he's still hitting the button because he wants to appeal to the racists, or like now he's bringing in the moderates because the moderates are like, look, I'm seeing a problem with illegal immigration.
What I was reacting to, okay, and the reason I'm frustrated with you having this conversation is that you're over here like, oh my God, fuck Kamala Harris for pushing identity politics button, which she is. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But you need to have the same level of anger towards Donald Trump, who's been pushing the literal same identity politics button the entire time on this same issue. Well, it's just not a race. It's not necessarily a race identity politics issue.
Here's the difference. Look, here's the difference I see. Okay. Like, if you're talking about he comes out and he's questioning Barack Obama being born in the United States. He wants to see his birth certificate.
Right.
Like, then I'm with you. Okay, he's pressing the race issue. He's doing it. He's doing it. He's doing it. If illegal immigration or just immigration, like legal immigration, is off the charts in some city, right? They literally add 25% of their population and it's all immigrants. Like, people might be frustrated with that. How is he supposed to have a conversation with them without you saying, oh, because he did the Barack Obama thing, he's still pressing the race button?
I didn't even bring up the Barack Obama thing.
No, I did though. But because look, you're saying anytime he talks about race, he's pressing the race button.
First of all, I literally have said 5 times that I'm not talking about race. I don't know why you keep saying race. Okay. I've never said anything about race. I specifically said he's not pressing the race button. So I don't know why you keep saying this. Okay. You're not listening to me.
Look,
he's not pressing the race button. He's creating.
He's playing into identity politics.
Yes. He's playing negative identity politics stereotypes about immigrants.
Right.
Okay. Coming into the country. And we've talked about this ad nauseum. Okay. The right is more sensitive to the threat of the barbarians coming in, and the left is completely blind to this threat.
Yeah, but what do you do when the barbarians actually come in?
Right, you have to deal with it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I understand that. And as I'm saying is, when you have an illegal immigration problem, which we have in this country, because the asylum system is being abused, you can talk about that and talk about that this is massive drain on resources in this country, there's assimilation problems, blah, 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 blah. There's all the things you can talk about without creating completely disgusting, dishonest, negative stereotypes about how all these people coming in are going to eat your pets and rape your women.
Right. Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, I'm ambivalent on the eating the animals thing. Okay. I've seen conflicting reports on the eating the animals thing. You seem to be convinced that no immigrants are eating any animals illicitly.
There is no, okay, listen, I'm sure you could find somewhere.
You're like a city manager.
Right. I'm sure you could find someone somewhere has eaten a fucking dog or cat. Okay. But obviously when we're having this conversation, you're talking about, is there a problem? Is there some sort of widespread issue of people or a group of people in a community engaged in a cultural practice of eating people's pets, right? That is the idea that we're talking about.
Well, just eating dogs or cats, not necessarily people's pets.
Well, I mean, he literally said they're eating the pets.
Do Haitians, do Haitians have like a cultural thing about eating dogs or cats? I mean, I would start there. I don't know.
I
haven't really looked into this.
I have
well,
no
then how
clue.
can you be so sure that it's not happening?
Because again, as
how
I said,
can you be so certain if you don't even know if it's a thing?
No, I said no. I said, I don't know if it's a cultural attitude to do this. I know it's not a thing because in every fucking story I've looked into, the only thing they found was Christopher Rufo, who was offering like $5,000, I believe, found like one fucking video of someone claiming in a different city that someone was eating a cat. And that was it. Okay,
well, look,
when you're talking
Rufo's
about a widespread systemic issue, that there's a bunch of Haitians going around picking up people's fucking pets and eating them, it's a completely different situation.
Okay, look, if it's untrue, I don't want Donald Trump saying it just on the fact that it's untrue. Okay. I think that's really the differentiation here that's important. It's like, if something is happening that might create negative stereotypes that is true, like, we should do our best to mitigate those negative stereotypes, but we have to talk about whatever it is.
Is it true that in the entire population of America, there's white people out there that are racist?
Of course.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So
of course.
And so from our entire YouTube career, as we always bring out, is just because there is a person who's racist and is white, it is completely wrong for the left to foment a negative stereotype that all white people are racist and that we live in a white supremacist society.
Of course.
Okay. And I'm saying that it's the same thing with this stupid pet shit or the rapist shit or any of this other shit that is being thrown at either Haitians or any other immigrant population entering the country, and that you can totally be against, allowing a bunch of people to, have asylum claims in this country, totally against illegal immigrants in this country, even be in favor. And Donald Trump Don't know why the fuck he hasn't done this. Talked about saying you should just not be able to request asylum on the border without fomenting these negative stereotypes that are not true.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It's not a stereotype if it's like a cultural thing, though, obviously. I mean,
If
you
it's
could say,
actually happening, you can
yeah,
talk
of
about
course.
it. Even, I mean, first of all, it would still be a stereotype, even if it's happening, unless, obviously we've had this exact conversation before. Because as I said, there's a bunch of white people that are racist. Doesn't mean you could say all white people are racist.
I mean, look, you could say all Christians like a fat dude coming down their chimney at Christmas time because it's like a cultural thing, right?
Okay, I guess that's not really applicable to the situation, but
Well, it is if the Haitians have some sort of like one day a year they all go out and eat a cat.
they don't have that. That's not a thing.
Well, look, I'm saying as an example, if it was a thing, you wouldn't be building a negative stereotype,
Of
right?
course, yeah. If hypothetically that was a thing, sure, that's not a thing. So it is, right?
Right,
Building a negative
okay.
stereotype. So.
Well, look, it's an interesting dilemma, but
right.
I get what you're saying. You're saying, look, Kamala is doing identity politics / using the race card.
Mm-hmm.
She's saying that Trump is disrespecting the black community by playing into these racist stereotypes.
Right.
And you're saying that I need to equally be upset at Trump because he is also playing identity politics where he is he's disrespecting the black community because he wants to appeal to racist voters.
Well, really, he's hitting the anti-immigrant button more than the black button, but there will obviously be, concept creep whenever you talk about the issue. So
yeah, depending on who the immigrants are, obviously,
right.
but are you like the anti-immigrant button? It's just like we've had many conversations about when immigration is too much. And I do think that the Democrats usually say never, right? When's immigration too much? Never.
Part of the reason the Democrats are so fucking pissed terrified until recently
it's because of the woke
about
stuff.
Talking about immigration is because of this shit, is because a lot of people, including Donald Trump, can't talk about it in a way that's not like, let me create a bunch of fucking racist stereotypes about a group of people. That's the problem. That actually makes it more difficult to actually address the immigrant problem.
But is it unintentional though?
It's with Trump, it's entirely intentional.
Okay.
I don't think Trump's a genius, but I don't think he's like a mouth-breathing retard that doesn't understand when he screams that they're eating the pets and they're raping the women, that people don't know that they're not going to perceive that in a specific way.
Right. Yeah. Fear immigrants.
Right.
Yeah. And the Democrats always say, oh, immigrants commit the lowest level of crime ever. Oh, they're all fine, upstanding citizens. They put more into the economy than they take out. And if you care at all
about immigration, you're a racist. Yep. And then you have Donald Trump come and he plays directly into the fucking stereotype of being a racist. So then you go, oh, well, see, then if you care about limiting immigration, you must be a racist. It's literally making it more difficult to deal with the immigration problem in the country.
Right. Well, look, neither side wants to play nice with the immigration issue. They both want to use it nefariously.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's hateful. And grounded in some age-old stuff that we should not have the
racism
tolerance for. So let's turn the page and chart a new way forward and say, you can't have that microphone again.
Let's chart a new way forward where we just open borders, throw the
Madam Vice President.
Sitch, I'm driving you crazy. I know it. I'm a little bit. I'll try to curb my disdain for the identity politics.
You should no. You should have a disdain for identity politics. Okay, I'm just saying it should be applied equally.
Well, look, I do not know why in a presidential election I have two choices. I have complete open borders or we're going to deport 30,000 people. Why are those my two choices?
Well, it's not. I mean, you have Kamala and the Democrats have been super pushing this immigration bill. It's going to drastically lower immigration for asylum seeker claims. So
Okay.
you can't say okay sarcastically when Biden has already basically done the bill through executive order. It's obviously something that they want to do because now they do it. You could say it's for cynical reasons, which it is, but that's true of all politicians, is that they're doing it because they know it's going to lose them the election if they don't do anything about it.
Look, if that was the case, and this is important. This would begin with, we have a serious immigration problem in this country. But I don't think Donald Trump, willy-nilly increasing negative stereotypes for American citizens is helpful. But instead, she completely ignores the fact that we have an immigration problem.
Well, first of all, she doesn't, because she talked about it at the debate and she's talked about it in several interviews and at rallies.
Not here, though.
No, not here. But I agree with you that she should answer it that way, but she's an inept politician and kind of an idiot, at least in this realm of being a politician. So yeah, she's not going to be able to give a good answer.
Okay, so look, we agree. She should start it that way.
Yes.
Now, what do you think the kids sitting across from her are going to do as soon as she says we have an immigration problem?
They'll probably say some woke shit.
You're a fucking racist piece of shit.
Slam them into the fucking ground, and that would be your clippable moment that would go viral. Is Kamala Harris telling these fucking retards off?
She would win moderates over like crazy,
exactly.
Dude. She'd win the election. She would fucking win the election.
Yes.
She would take the immigration. She would take the immigration issue completely away from Donald Trump.
And it would, as long as we're in our headcanon universe here, because the issue that Kamala Harris has when it comes to immigration is that people understandably say, I don't trust Kamala Harris or the Democrats on immigration because they've been calling the Republicans racist for 10 billion years. If anyone talks about immigration, and they're the ones that kind of allowed the situation to get out of hand in the first place.
Yep.
So it's understandable that people are skeptical of their ability to handle the issue. And if she got some big fight on a panel at the National Black Journalists Association thing, where she's literally arguing with someone about immigration being a big problem and telling them to shut the fuck up, that would help swage a lot of voters to say, oh, well, she's willing to fight, an identity politics, crowd of people on this issue. So it is something that she seems to take seriously.
Yes. Yeah. The people like me are sitting here going, oh, she's just going to be bullied by her far left constituents who want to throw the borders wide open and want to kill that border bill.
I'm skeptical because they've run on the border bill so hardcore. It's like everything out of her mouth is border bill, border bill, border bill. So
okay, look, I hope they do something about immigration.
Changing gears again, quick question. I want to talk to you about gun control. So you've said I
want to talk to you about taking away all of America's guns.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? Yeah, jeez.
Can we take away all the guns at once, or is that going to take some time?
Support an assault weapons ban and universal background checks, and we actually learned during the debate that you are a gun owner. But in cities like Philadelphia, handguns are responsible for most homicides and violent crime. The most recent FBI data shows handguns were involved in 59% of murders in our country. How will you address the issue of the use of handguns? Because a push for an assault weapons ban only addresses a significant but small part of the problem.
Oh my God. Oh my that's a fucking God. Oh,
what a
shit.
Great fucking question. Holy shit.
Oh, shit. She's like, listen.
Yeah.
That's only 2% of the problem. The other 98% is handguns. Now, how are we going to confiscate all of those?
Well, no, but I mean, it's a great question in terms of, when people talk about gun crime, the assault weapons ban is a total like bullshit pivot. Because yes, well, there are, a lot of the mass shootings that get attention, because obviously there's a lot more mass shootings that are like gang related and stuff, but the mass shootings that get attention, usually the person's using some kind of, modern hunting or modern sport rifle or whatever the fucking correct term is. And then they get labeled an assault weapon. So everyone cries about that when it's like, well, no, like, she said like the overwhelming majority of gun crime is done with handguns. So no, this is a fantastic question.
Yep.
I don't think Kamala's going to be able to answer it, but
yeah. We'll see.
First of all, yes, I am a gun owner, and Tim Walz is a gun owner, and we're not trying to take anybody's guns away from them. But we do need an assault weapons ban.
How can she do that, Sitch? How does she do that? Is she retarded? Is she mentally retarded? Sitch ran away. Look, so if you own an assault weapon, well, you know, who knows what they're calling an assault weapon, right? An AR. If you own an AR, right? And she's saying, look, we're not trying to take anybody's guns away. You're thinking, oh, good, they're not trying to take my AR away. And then in the very next breath, she says, but we need to ban your AR. It's like, wait a second. You just said you're not taking my gun away. Now it turns you are taking my gun away. How is this even a thing? We're not trying to take anyone's guns away except for your AR. That gun we are going to take away.
Assault weapons are designed to kill a lot of human beings quickly,
Yes,
and
an
have
assault
no
weapons
place
ban,
and have
yes.
no place. I'm going to get to it.
Yes.
Oh my
my
God.
God.
This is
Look
so
at this.
good.
I
This
know.
is so good. Look, she doesn't intimidate anyone. This reporter's
No.
like, look, right in your face.
Right.
Presidential material.
Well, listen, you got to give them credit. They're not, you know, they didn't just be like, oh, it's Kamala, let's just throw her a bunch of softballs.
Yeah, no, this is great. This is great.
They have no place on the streets of a civil society. We need universal background checks, which, to your point about handguns, is about saying that it is just reasonable to want reasonable gun safety laws that say we should do background checks that we ought to know. It's just reasonable. You might want to know before someone can buy a lethal weapon. If they've been found by a court to be a danger to themselves or others, you might just want to know.
And respectfully, we do understand that.
But you're asking
Yes.
about...
I'm
you're
asking specifically about handguns, because many of those handguns aren't purchased in places.
Universal background checks apply to handguns.
Yes.
They do.
But in
And
many instances, those handguns aren't even bought lawfully. Yeah.
She's like, listen, dummy.
I know.
They don't go through a background check when they buy it in a fucking alley.
Mm-hmm.
Kamala's like, what? People buy guns in alleys?
Yes.
Which is why I also have been very adamant for years. In fact, I myself protested at a gun show probably 10, 15 years ago about the gun show loophole and why we need to close that. Because what ends up happening is that
If you're running for president, never say I protested for a cause, okay? Because you're not a protester, you're running for president, right? You should be talking about you have a policy
Oh, I know.
that you're advocating for or that you're going to pass when you're president. You don't say I protested something.
I
gun shows
protested.
Yeah.
That just sounds horrible.
at flea markets, gun dealers are not, under existing law in the past, required to register their sales. And so you are exactly right that a lot of homicides, for example, a good number of them, I don't have the statistic in front of my mind, are committed with illegally purchased guns. And that's why we need to address each entry point in the issue, including universal background checks, closing the gun show loophole, and what we need to do as a general matter to focus not only on reaction to crime, but prevention of crime. So you're raising a very important issue that has many facets, including what we need to do in terms of reasonable gun safety laws and what we need to do around crime prevention, what we need to do around crime deterrence. But listen, I have personally prosecuted homicide cases. I have held the hands of mothers who have come to me crying, who have said, I only want to talk to Kamala, because they knew when they sat down, I would treat them with the dignity and respect that they were entitled and due about the loss of their child, often their son, to gun violence and the need to take it seriously. And we must take it seriously. In every way, understanding it's not just
I can't stand the like, oh, so serious. I've
I
held
know.
the hands. Oh, this is so, it's like nails on a chalkboard for me. What's your take on
Well,
this? Like,
it's a classic kind of dishonest politician tactic when you're asked a tough question to invoke some kind of like emotionally traumatic story
right,
to, prevent the commentator or the host or the questioner from really being able to do a follow-up or to interject or something.
right, yeah, yeah. It's like emotional blackmail. It's like a
Right, right.
very, I've been personally affected by this issue, so it really means a lot to me.
Just about a soundbite. It's about a comprehensive approach that deals with the tragedy of, to your point, everyday gun violence in America. It's real. It has had a profound impact in terms of trauma that, for the most part, has gone undiagnosed and untreated. The trauma that exists in communities around the violence of losing their children, losing a brother, losing a father, an uncle. All of that must be addressed, and we have to have a holistic response to it.
Are there things we haven't thought about yet? Because every time we bring up this issue of gun violence, universal background checks comes up and a ban on assault weapons. Are there other solutions that you're also thinking about that will get at this issue?
Absolutely. For example, part of what we did
On one hand, I like that the interviewer is being so like dogged with this question. On the other hand, I sense that she wants some like very extreme answer, like a ban on guns or just something like a handgun ban or something crazy like that.
Got to get the criminals off the streets.
Mm.
That's what it is.
As vice president with the president, we were able to pass the first meaningful gun safety legislation in 30 years. And part of what that involved was millions and millions of dollars to put more mental health counselors in public schools, right? Because we know that there is an aspect of this that is about treating the trauma and dealing with it at its source before it ends up manifesting itself in a problem. There is the work that we need to do that is about putting resources into communities around violence prevention. I've been a big advocate of that for years, which includes what we need to do around putting resources into community-based intervention that is not just requiring on the good people in the community to volunteer to do the intervention, but actually paying people to do it because it's a full-time job. It's about understanding what we need to do to, again, understand that, to your point, we have to have a holistic response to this issue and prioritize it instead of reacting to the tragedy that, sadly, they are too predictable. Let's all agree, enough of that. There are very few solutions that we haven't thought of. We need to put the resources into them.
Madam Vice President, we want to move to the topic of reproductive access, something that you have worked in leading on both for the administration, Democrats, and now the top of the ticket. You've said that as president, you would want to codify Roe. If it came to your desk, you would sign a bill that did that. Roe protected access until fetal viability, which it also says is, quote, at about 7 months, but it may occur earlier, even at 24 weeks. So do you similarly support also codifying Roe's restrictions, which allowed states to ban abortion in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy unless necessary to save the mother's life?
We need to put the protections of Roe v. Wade back into law. And when that bill gets passed by Congress, I will proudly sign it into law. Understand what is happening in our country. Over 20 states have passed what I call Trump abortion bans because I understand how we got here. The former president handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. They did as he intended, and in state after state, laws have been passed criminalizing health care providers. I don't know if anyone here has heard most recently the stories out of Georgia. Tragic story about a young woman who died because it appears.
I was reading something. Did she say that she was in favor of adding restrictions or allowing states to allow abortions in the 3rd trimester?
She dodged. He asked her about the codifying the restrictions, banning abortion in the 3rd trimester, except for the case of life of the mother, but she didn't answer that question immediately. So
Right.
but I don't know. Did she answer?
So she
just now?
dodged. That's what
Yeah,
you're
she
saying.
dodged the original question. Yeah.
Okay.
The people who should have given her health care were afraid they'd be criminalized after the Dobbs decision came down. Laws that make no exception even for rape or incest, which means that you're telling a survivor of a crime of a violation to their body that they have no right to make a decision about what happens to their body next, which is immoral.
He wants her to, well, I think he wants her to say there should be no restrictions on abortion, even in the third trimester. That's kind of the way his question was pointed.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But she's dancing around. She didn't answer immediately. Now she's talking about abortion bans. Look, and I'm not in favor of these, obviously. I think if a woman is raped, she should be able to have an abortion. But she shouldn't be waiting till the third trimester. My God, woman, go out and get that abortion immediately. Jesus.
Right.
Yeah.
An approach that doesn't take into account that most people, I think, agree you don't have to abandon your faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. If she chooses, she will talk with her pastor, her priest, her rabbi, her imam, but it should not be the government or Donald Trump telling her what to do about her own body and her life. So that's where I stand. We need to put back in place the protection of Roe v. Wade and put that into law.
And those restrictions that are also in.
We need to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade and let an individual, in consultation with her doctor, make the decision based on what she can determine, because she's smart enough to know what's in her best interest instead of having her government tell her what to do, especially a bunch of people in these state capitals who think they're in a better position to tell her what to do than she is to know what's in her best interest.
Before we conclude, Madam Vice President,
So it's interesting. It's like half of that answer is like a really, it's an unclear dodge. The other half is the implication would be no restrictions from the answer, saying it's up to a woman or a doctor to make the decision.
Right.
Right. That'd be the implication.
She didn't really answer explicitly. Yeah.
No, and she's not going to, because she's terrified of giving a straight answer on that question.
Well, look, as soon as she did, Donald Trump would be saying, look, I've been saying this all along. They want a woman to be able to abort a fetus at the 9th month.
Well, she should just say, I'm not in favor of that. I mean, I don't think you'd really lose that many voters if you just turned out against these fucking whack jobs who were in favor of these, abortion in like the last month here.
Look, you are so correct. Like this interview could have gone completely differently, because if she knocked down all of these people on all these fucking crazy shit, like the person who wants to ban all the guns, the person who wants unrestricted abortion, right? The person who wants unrestricted illegal immigration, right? If she went to task on all of them, oh my God, this interview would be viral, man. It'd be millions and millions of views, and it'd be front page news. And
this will be completely forgotten, because
this
really
is
of interest was generated from it at all.
Yeah. Yep. So sad.
The Joyful Warrior has been used to describe
You
your
didn't see that just a minute ago, though. Okay, I'm back to my joyful part.
And your opponent and Republicans have.
She couldn't help it. She had to do the jackhammer.
The Joyful War. That's so cringe.
No,
I mean,
the fucking jackhammer.
No,
laugh,
I know.
Like right into the microphone there.
It is super ultra cringe. It's like also kind of genius, like recasting her biggest problem, which is her weird nervous laugh, as Joyful Warrior, I guess. But it just, oh God, I can't stand it.
Look, she even admits, look, I was pissed when you asked me that hard question, bitch. Now I'm going to get back into the Joyful Warrior mode.
At times weaponized you laughing in campaign ads, for example. Why is joy important to you to insert into this election? And what do you make of Republicans using that as a way to suggest that you're not a serious candidate?
Well, sometimes I think, and I'll say to whoever the young people are who are watching this, there are some times when your adversaries will try and turn your strength into a weakness. Don't you let them. Don't you let them. I find joy in the American people. I find joy and optimism in what I see to be our future and our ability to invest in it. I find joy in the ambition of the people. I find joy in the dreams of the people. I find joy in building community. I find joy in building coalitions. I find joy in believing that the true measure of the strength of a leader is not based on who you beat down, but who you lift up. And I think we should all find joy and have a sense of optimism about who we are as Americans and what we mean to each other and what we can do to lift each other up.
Madam Vice President, President Biden spoke to former President Trump after the attempt on his life this weekend. Have you spoken to him?
I have.
And earlier today, I assume?
Yes.
How'd that go? You want to give us some intel?
Sure. I checked on him to see if he was okay.
Yeah.
And I told him what I have said publicly. There's no place for political violence in our country. I am in this election and in this race for many reasons, including to fight for our democracy. And in a democracy, there is no place for political violence. We can and should have healthy debates and discussion and disagreements, but not resort to violence to resolve those issues.
On January 6th, your vehicle was allowed to kind of pass a viable pipe bomb. We've seen...
No, I was in the building.
You were in the building. And we've seen what's happening with former President Trump. Do you have full confidence in the Secret Service to protect all of you?
I do.
You feel safe for you and your family?
I do. But, I mean, you can go back to Ohio. Not everybody has Secret Service. And there are far too many people in our country right now who are not feeling safe. I mean, I look at Project 2025, and I look at, like the Don't Say Gay laws coming out of Florida. Members of the LGBTQ community don't feel safe right now. Immigrants or people with an immigrant background don't feel safe right now. Women don't feel safe right now.
She's running for the finish line.
I know.
And so, yes, I feel safe. I have Secret Service protection. But that doesn't change my perspective on the importance of fighting for the safety of everybody in our country, and doing everything we can to, again, lift people up and not beat people down so they feel alone and are made to feel small and made to feel like they're somehow not a part of it or us.
Madam Vice President, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It's interesting that her intuition is, oh, when I'm like feeling somewhat cornered, I got to go back to like the woke shtick. I got to go back to the identity politics. And that's definitely what her intuition, her inclination is.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's funny you said she's like running away from the finish line. It's like she's playing Mario Kart. She's like about to cross the finish line. Her little cart gets knocked off the course. And when she comes back, she's facing the wrong direction, but she doesn't realize it. She's like driving backwards on the track. The little guy's like, "You're going the wrong way." And she's like, "Nah, I'm hammering it, killing it." Like, "You're going the wrong way."
Turn around.
So, not a great interview. I mean, listen, it depends. From it's obviously better than the ABC interview. Not a great interview, better than that. Small incremental steps forward. It's interesting. I think if she could, obviously not, the amazing interview that we headcanoned that could have been possible. I don't think that will ever that's obviously not going to happen this election cycle. There's no way that's ever going to happen. I think if she can kind of eke out these sort of C- level interview performances repeatedly and consistently, it would actually help significantly, because then she can throw off this sort of stereotype that no one knows what the fuck she believes, that she's hiding, blah, 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 blah. And, you could have some swing voters, I don't know, watch this garbage and think like confident enough to vote for her because they just hate Donald Trump.
Yeah. Yes. Looking forward to more of this.
Right. I'm not, but you know, fortunately, as you
Well,
said,
I
you
mean,
know,
if she actually can improve in incremental steps, there's a story here.
sure, I'm
Yeah.
skeptical. Again, I
So
am
look, if she
skeptical.
plateaus, it's over.
Right.
This is not. I just. I I have that little voice in the back of my head. Look, I so want to say just this is over, but I don't know how the hell Biden got elected. Like Biden just seemed completely. I guess it is hatred for Donald Trump. It's the media narrative has worked. People see him as a lying racist.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, I'll vote for anything over a lying racist. So they may vote for Kamala Harris over a lying racist, but this just, what the?
Mm-hmm.
This is not even remotely smack of presidential material
No,
here.
she feels so meek and not leadership quality when you watch this interview.
Look, people hated Hillary Clinton, but Hillary Clinton would do well in these interviews easily.
Right.
Yeah.
No, people didn't like Hillary because of what she believed in, and no one doubted her intelligence or her ability to articulate her, you know,
Or her
policies
confidence.
or confidence or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she, like, Hillary kind of had the other problem was like it came off as like bitchy. And I understand there's that sort of difficulty for female politicians where they're like, how do you come off as strong, not being bitchy? I think, even though, as I said, I don't really like her, I think Tulsi was able to sort of hit that right tone when she would talk, where she would come
Right.
off as strong, but I never perceived her as coming off as like a bitch. So I don't know what the magic sauce is there.
Yeah. It's crazy. Well, I guess we got a bunch of super chats and we're running way late. So
Yes. Okay, let me bring up here. All Beef Hot Dog, thanks so much for the $10. Says, was scrolling Twitter and saw Think Before You Sleep post one of the most ridiculous takes about fur rent I've ever seen. Safe to say, I'm extremely disappointed. You know, it's hilarious because I actually did see that tweet. I still haven't watched Fur Rent yet. You know, I know a lot of you keep recommending that I watch it. And I saw that Sean hated it on Twitter. So I'm now actually am curious to watch it because I saw his take on it to see if I agree or not.
you're like, I got to fix this.
Well, I might agree. I might agree and piss everyone off as well. So I have no clue.
Well, no, you got to fix his bad take if he has a bad take.
What if his take is correct and
Well,
everyone else
then-
is wrong?
Then there is absolutely nothing to fix. So
Right. I don't know. I have no clue. So I haven't seen a single episode. Christian Bauer for $2 says, Fed just cut rates. There you go. Yeah, they talked about it.
look, but did they
finally
cut
did
him
it.
by 50 basis points or 25?
I have no clue.
Fed rate cut. Let's take
How much
a look.
was it?
Because that's the people were trying to. Fed just announced sounds like a jumbo size interest rate cut, so it sounds like 50 basis points. Let's see. Go ahead, read another super chat.
Okay.
Come on.
Let's talk about Prep Ding for $2. Says Kamala is defining what Trump meant by black jobs. Yeah, there was a clip. I don't remember. I just saw it. I don't know if it was Kamala or Biden, where they literally said like something helping black jobs. And I was like laughing because, you know, remember they were trying to get Trump on that one. Like, he said black jobs. How dare he? You can't find the number?
Yeah, what the fuck? Why
It
is it in
says
every
Wall
single
Street
headline?
Journal. Fed meeting today. Fed cut interest rates by 0.5 point.
Okay.
So there you go.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
0.5?
50 basis points. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Over 0.25.
Right.
That means
What does that mean?
they're worried about a recession.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's worried about that right now.
I think is the market up or down? Because I'm thinking the market's going to go down.
Well, they probably got to cut interest. I mean, interest rates are too high anyway. So
Actually, the market is up after hours.
Look at
Not by
that.
much though. Kind of flat. So
Loser Doman for 2 Canadians says 2 minutes of words to say concept of a plan.
oh yeah. That's good.
Listen, it's better to say 2 minutes of nothing than to say 1 second of concepts of a plan. All right. That's why these politicians do that. It's better to hide your nonsense in a word salad instead of just say that clippable line that's gonna,
I have the
haunt
concept of a
you.
plan.
So,
Yeah.
that was a terrible line.
I guess word salads are kind of impossible to clip, right? Because you
Right.
just go on and on and on. It's not really a clip.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, you can clip it in terms of saying like, listen to Kamala Harris say nothing for 2 minutes.
Right.
So,
But are people really going to do that? I mean,
no.
you want the incendiary stuff.
Right. Asha C for $5 says, you guys were early. I always fight you, Sitch, except about your based utensil take, which you are God Emperor Sitch, holder of the knife. Well, thank you. That is true. Knife and fork and spoon supremacy chapsticks are terrible and should be burned forever. Mr. Middleman for $5 says, if you listen to her at 1.5 speed, she actually sounds intelligent. When I catch up in a live stream, the difference was jarring. She needs coaching. Yeah, no, I've always said this. She talks way too fucking slow. She talks so slow. If you're saying especially if you're saying a bunch of like platitudes and bullshit, what she's saying, you got to speed it up because then maybe at least it sounds like you're saying something. She has the double whammy of saying nothing and saying it very slowly. It's awful. She speaks way too slow.
Terrible. Yep.
J-Mac, thanks so much, our surrogate father, for the $50. Says, I bought a bunch of the comic and I'm going to pass them out to the unhoused here in Phoenix.
Oh my God, please
no. Food is temporary, but a great story is timeless. What's the most unfortunate among us needs is escapism that doesn't breed addiction, but enlightenment. There you go. I like it. Look at that. Look at that. I do like that. Zolo for $5 says, Biden couldn't even cancel student loan and uphold all his promises. What makes people think she can implement all of these commie policies? There you go. Brian for $10 says, exactly. Homes not being built is due to state and local building regulations. This cannot be sold purely at the federal level. This is a way to buy votes. Yep. I think I do think the federal government can lean on cities and local districts to do something to soften up regulations. But so I don't know if I'd agree that is buying votes. I do think that the $25,000 for first homeowners is just the payoff to buy votes. So I agree on that policy. Val Van Gogh for $40. Thank you so much. Says, number one, today the Ohio governor revealed that all Springfield bomb threats came from overseas, who are the most harmful foreign operatives, Tim Pool and Lauren Southern. I thought that was yesterday that he said that. I could have swore he said that yesterday. Did he say who, like where they're coming from overseas? Because I saw the clip of him saying yesterday, I thought it was yesterday, that the threats were coming from overseas, and I was like, what fucking country? Tell us the country. What fucking country are
why are
coming
they saying
from?
Overseas?
Right. Is it like Iran? Is it Russia? Is it Ukraine? Is it Mexico? Is it the Haitians themselves? Like, who the fuck is making these? Like, just don't say just saying overseas. Say where the fuck they're coming from. So, because that is fucking
from Mars.
insane. Well, I mean, that is pretty wild. If you have a bunch of bomb threats coming into school and they're coming from overseas, because you're like, okay, well, there's two things. Like, you have literal terrorist attack threats coming from overseas, and also, maybe it's a way to try to like pin blame on Donald Trump and Trump voters and Trump supporters, right?
What's this bomb threat story?
There was a bunch of schools, I think, and hospitals that received bomb threats in Springfield, Ohio,
because of the eating the cats meme.
It was supposed to be like, oh, we're like
Payback.
racist. We're like racist Republicans who we're going to blow up the schools or the hospitals if you don't stop the immigrants from coming in or something.
Oh, okay.
Right.
But really it came from Russia.
Oh, well, I don't know. The governor said that they were mostly coming from overseas, but he declined. Well, he didn't say where, which, I mean, I'll be real. The fact he didn't say what country is sus, because you're like, why would you not say that unless I don't know, maybe it's not true, or
they all came from Israel.
There you go. Or it came from an ally, or I mean, I guess it's theoretically possible the federal government told him not to say until they do some kind of investigation. I don't know, but it is kind of suspect, I can say, the country. So
sweet.
Val Van Gogh also continues, or the entire mainstream left-wing media amplifying a foreign attack as domestic in origin. The Democrat New York governor spewing actual Chinese propaganda from a woke performing Chinese infiltrator. I mean, they're both bad, but I agree. Obviously, the mainstream media has denied, focusing on when it's their side that's spewing actual propaganda. It is kind of interesting, and I guess it shouldn't be all too unexpected that how much the mainstream media really hit the Tim Pool story. Like they were covering that like a lot, which if it was equal, then I'd be fine with it. But obviously, it's not equal. Eric Diota for 20 Canadian. Thank you so much. Says the Canadian Conservative leader has said something similar in regards to withholding to municipalities in order to build more homes to address Canada's housing crisis whenever he gets elected to prime minister. Well, there you go. Look at that. Pretty based.
They have a housing crisis too. Look, everyone's running out of wood.
Everyone got a housing. I wouldn't be surprised if most first world Western democracies have housing crisis because so much of it ends up that people get so much of their wealth tied into their house value. So obviously they want to keep that, the voters want to keep the values up.
They want to keep that intergenerational wealth, right?
Right.
Which comes at the expense of other people.
Of the up and coming young people, yes.
Yeah.
Taro Chud Munch, thank you so much for 5 gifted memberships. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks.
And Taro Chud Munch, what a name. Thank you for being a supporter of Fruzy for 1 whole year. Says celebrating 1 year by making up my months as a freeloader. Keep up the good work, fellas. S-Class is the best class. And A-Team reigns supreme.
Woo!
There you go. Brian for $20. Thank you, Brian. Says she's copying Trump again, where Trump laid out opportunity zones to lower regulations and increase support for small businesses and areas, but they rebranded it to opportunity economy.
That's hilarious. They did, yeah, didn't they?
I haven't really heard Trump push on the opportunity zones too much when I've heard him talk. So he should definitely hit that button more. Malazan for the Fallen for 2 months says, why do we listen to anything these politicians say when they've repeatedly shown they don't even try to keep their promises? Well,
I think they do, though.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. They do throw out, most politicians, they throw out a series of promises. Some of them they try to keep, some of them they don't try to keep in order to pay off their voters and to get reelected, essentially. So
yeah, Biden tried like crazy to get the student loan stuff.
Right.
Over and over again. Yeah. Trump tried like crazy to get the wall. The people stand in the way. The other side doesn't want the opposing team to get a win. So they stand in the way. They're like, nah, we're not building a wall.
Well,
we're not giving that student loan debt.
It's difficult because as I said, it's like a mixed bag. Because, you had, Biden tried to do student loan debt. Trump tried to do the wall. They both got blocked by the other side, by Congress, by the courts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they both tried to. But then you have on the flip side, there are things that they promised they 100% did not try to do, right? So both Biden and Trump promised to do massive changes to healthcare in this country, right? Trump promised repeal and replace, didn't do jack shit. Joe Biden promised public option, didn't do shit on any of this stuff whatsoever. And hilariously, Kamala is not even like fucking running on healthcare. Like the healthcare costs have completely dropped off the political conversation at the moment. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if people are just, if healthcare costs have gone down and it's not bothering people, or people just have given up on the issue altogether. So
hopefully they've gone down.
Tomite for $10 says, I tuned in late, but did Kamala forget the Spanish fly existed? A pandemic that swept across the entire world and killed the young and healthy. That was only 100 years ago. I'm assuming you meant Spanish flu, not Spanish fly.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah. That's the best typo of all time.
Spanish fly is a
don't you want to
supposedly an aphrodisiac? Yes.
Don't you want to see Kamala Harris on Spanish fly?
Right.
But did Kamala forget Spanish fly existed?
Right.
She can do something about that low energy campaign.
What is that? What was that in relation to? I don't know. What the Spanish flu thing. What was she talking about that would have been in relation to?
I don't know. Look, we do get. Did she say once in 100-year pandemic? A lot of times that's what they say.
Right. Oh, you're right. That must have been it when she said this was like the once in a, yeah. Okay. But did
Did
that,
she,
yeah,
did
but
she
did that
say
affect
once in a
America or was that
millennium?
just in Europe? I don't know much about it. So,
Pandemic means worldwide.
Europe. Oh, Emperor Carl France. Hey, Carl. Thanks so much for joining us. Being a free will seeker for one entire year says, hey now. I just graduated as a proud member of the U.S. Army Infantry, and I'm ready to start watching my two favorite streamers again. Well, look at that. Congratulations. That's Ultra
Yeah,
Base.
look at that.
Really
I think last time
super
we
cool.
messaged was when you were going off to boot camp.
Right. That's
Back
awesome.
again, yeah.
There you go. A very dead horse for 25 months. Thank you so much for being over 2 years. Says, would you guys feel comfortable saying that you're a thing when you're only 1/4 of it? I wouldn't feel comfortable saying that I'm an American Indian. I mean, yeah, I probably, if I was 1/4 something, I probably would not identify as it unless, like, you could theoretically have a situation where you, like, if you use the Indian example, like you're 1/4 Indian or American Indian, I should say, and for whatever reason, you were raised by your one parent or a grandparent or something, and they were, more Native American, and that was like kind of the cultural attitude that they imparted you because you lived with them. And if that was the case, then I'd say, okay, it's fine for you to identify that you literally were raised like that. But if you were raised kind of just generically and you were like 1/4 whatever, then yeah, I would probably not. I personally would not really feel an association with that. So.
What if you were 1/4 black, but you were raised by your Indian parents?
Then maybe you feel Indian. So,
Okay. I mean, that's Kamala Harris. That's why he's super chatting that.
Lethal Strain for $5 says, listening to her phrasing, quote, my policy is to understand, add problem. She never really says how she'll fix the problem. That is true.
Right.
That's
yeah.
true.
Oh, look at this. Sammy
G. Look at that. Sammy G being 29 months. Look at that. 29 months. Oh my God.
I know.
29 months.
It's
Order
almost
the
like we're
Enlightened.
married.
Light. Look at that. Says her comment on, quote, building intergenerational wealth really grinds my gears. Dems are the same party wanting to tax wealthy more because rich people are bad. It's so annoying. We really need to fix education around economics in America. Well, you have to read between the lines. When she talks about building intergenerational wealth, she means building intergenerational wealth for the good, moral, upstanding people of America. The middle class, the lower class. But you evil rich elites, we got to take your intergenerational wealth. We got to jack it out from you, and we got to give it to the other people, right? So that's what she's talking about, Sammy.
No, I'm with Sammy. This is it is complete conflict of interest. It's like, we want people to build intergenerational wealth so we can tax the shit out of them and take it away unfairly.
Right.
Yeah. It's definitely contradicting terms. Good catch, Sammy.
Fast and Bulbous for 2 months says, do you think people defend others or ideas over the mere perception of unfairness or are just contrarian?
It's different people are different. So there are some of both, obviously. I am triggered by unfairness. I do enjoy being contrarian. And I think the contrarians in the environment do help when some paradigm shift needs to take place, because usually it's the contrarians that come in first and say, oh, look, you got it completely wrong. The world is round, not flat, right? So contrarians are definitely a good thing, but a lot of times contrarians can get things wrong. What's your take?
I agree with you.
Okay, nice. Mr. Middleman for $1.99 says, someone get her a couch drop. Stat.
Cough drop.
Oh, cough drop.
Couch drop.
A couch drop.
Yes.
I can read, I swear.
There you go. Adam Gadbaugh for 25 months. Thank you so much. Says, Adam, I'm sorry, but you 100% look like a California liberal. The only thing you don't look is your age. There you go.
Yes. Look, I am a California liberal, so.
There it is.
I just, yeah.
Brian, thank you so much for the $5, $10, $15. Says, this is the true Kamala Harris. She's a far lefty who will look to implement CRT and racial equity falsehoods from the federal government. That was the first one. The second one was basically he wants to send out FEMA with federally funded lefties to ask them if they are okay and make sure their feelings are valid. And Kamala was cringe on the Springfield question, but Trump repeating this on debate was pretty stupid. That is true.
Look at that. He agrees with you, Sitch.
Well, that one. I don't know. I have no clue. I feel like either one's possible. I feel like it's possible Kamala will, if she wins, will rip off the mask and be super far left CRT. Or it's possible she'll just throw all that in the trash. Because I still perceive Kamala in my mind as someone who doesn't have a lot of principles. She seems to me to just be like kind of the empty politician, the empty suit, who's just going to do whatever it takes to win sort of scenario.
Right.
So,
Hmm.
Gene Air payment for $5 says her voice is reverse ASMR. It makes me want to run away. It's the last thing you hear before someone feeds you to the dogs. There you go.
Yeah, I
There you
don't.
go.
I don't care for it either.
Right. Here, we don't eat the dogs. We feed you to the dogs. There you go. Look at that.
Nice. Hope they're
Lethal
hungry.
Strength for $20. Thanks so much. Says, after watching this interview, can you believe that she might have had the questions in advance of the debate? Because this is how bad she performs without knowing the topics. Questions, her debate answers were way better. No, I still don't think she had the answers or the questions to debate because I feel like she would have actually been better. I think it was just that with the debate, it was very like if you listen to the content of those answers that she gave and you listen to the content of the debate answer she gave, they're actually the same. The only difference is that when she was on the debate, she had all this like performance. She was like energized up and she was doing all her like performative faces and all that stuff. So it kind of makes you think that she answered the questions better than she did, but I don't agree. I think the actually quality of the answers and the content of the answers were pretty similar. So do you agree, disagree? Were you reading something?
I was
not listening?
I was
Okay.
thinking about the MMT question coming up.
Oh, okay. Malik for $10 says Teamsters Union just refused to endorse either candidate. Given how impossible it is to predict this election, who do y'all think would win if we voted today? I feel like Trump would win if the vote was today.
Really?
I feel like it'd be super close, but Trump would win.
It's kind of weird that the Teamsters Union is like, Kamala's so bad we're not endorsing anyone.
It is interesting, yeah.
Yeah, wow. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, look, I think Trump, I don't think people know enough about Kamala, and evidently she's trying to fix that. She's doing these interviews because they're doing internal polling saying, look, the American people know nothing about you, Kamala. You got to get out there and talk to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
She seems to be going way outside of her comfort zone. So, but if she can make incremental improvements, it might be close.
So this is interesting. It says the International Brotherhood of Teamsters declined to endorse a presidential candidate on Wednesday after releasing internal polling that showed a majority of its members supported former President Donald Trump over Vice President Kamala Harris. Isn't that fascinating?
Look, that's what I thought.
Right.
There is a giant divide between unions, the people who manage the unions, and the actual workers. Like the workers are so against immigration, and all the union bosses they love immigration.
Right.
Yeah. So
that is very interesting. Yeah. Well, there you go. Fascinating. The Democrats have sort of run away from labor, ever since Clinton.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because Republicans have also, thrown labor in the trash until recently. Now they're kind of trying to pick them up again. I'm hyper skeptical that Trump would actually ever do anything to, make unions stronger in America, but
are we looking for the new operating system though? Unions is a thing of the past.
We are. Gavatron for 5 Canadian says, what's the point of having taxes at all under MMT if the government can just print more money? I feel like you've answered this question multiple times, but that's the answer to this question you're looking at.
You go.
No, you're the
I was
MMT
curious
guy.
if you could do it. I mean, it's
well,
pretty
first of all,
simple,
you literally, without taxation, we talked about this yesterday. Without taxation, money has no value in the first place.
Yes, the point of having taxes is to create artificial demand for the currency.
Right.
also to mitigate inflation, right? To take demand, to lessen the impact of aggregate demand in the economy. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's to make money at value and to limit inflation would be the two. So.
Yep.
Lethal Strain for $5 says Biden even brought up the grape situation, talking about immigrants, talking about the issues with different cultures clashing isn't racist. It's not racist to say that there's going to be cultural problems or even crime problems when you have a lot of immigration in the country. It is racist to intentionally promote negative stereotypes about groups of people. You would all agree with that, obviously, as we've talked about it in terms of promoting negative stereotypes throughout the entire existence of this channel's history. So,
Right. Would it be okay to just say all immigrants are rapists and not make a race thing, like just equally?
if first of all, if it was even true that there's some like super high number of immigrants doing the rape, right? Which I don't believe is even
The
accurate.
raping, yeah.
Right. I don't believe that's even remotely accurate. So it's not really the
Right.
case.
Well, look, I'm more worried about mitigating the stereotypes and the accuracy of
Right.
the statement, obviously.
So
Yeah, it's weird. But there was that one recent one.
yes,
There
it
was,
was. Right.
yeah. Which people always like to lash onto because it's big.
Is it okay
scary,
to say
so.
that all men are rapists? Because 90% of rapes are done by men.
No, but it's okay to
Okay.
say
The same
all immigrant men are rapists.
Well, that's the issue, right? It's
That's
like, well,
okay.
you could just keep broadening the group until suddenly it affects you, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm not a rapist. Because that's literally what kind of sparked a lot of the original SJW movement way back in 2014, 2015, was this sort of Me Too attitude that was like all men are rapists, and you essentially have to teach them to not be rapists, and they'll have to bend over and say, I'm not a rapist, I'm not a rapist, I'm not a rapist. And so you can't say that you're against that negative stereotype, but then say you're in favor of, promoting negative stereotypes of other groups of people. So
You have to teach them to be American, okay? And
Right.
the beginning of that education is American men don't rape women. Like, that's where it all begins.
Okay. Sketch
Back
for $2.
in your country.
Right. Terrible. Sketch for $2 says Dev and Actual Justice Warrior made great videos about the pet thing. Yeah,
Oh, good. I'll check them out.
I saw Dev's. Did I see Sean? Dev's was good. I don't.
I
did see
so this
Sean's.
is how you
Sean's was
know.
good too. I saw they're both good. I did see
This
them,
is how you know I'm at a disadvantage here. I didn't watch anyone's videos. I'm just going off of the memes. I listened to a bunch of the songs.
Right. Margin for $5 says the further it goes, my position to illegal immigration has changed. I believe we also have a legal immigration problem, the artificial pump of GDP. Well, I think you have a legal immigration problem in terms of, and I've said this before, people don't want to do this, but I think you can have immigration, but you need to spread it out. You don't want to create enclaves or enclaves, not enclaves. You don't want to create enclaves of a population, because then essentially that dissuades people from assimilating into, the broader American regional culture of whatever region of the country they live in. So,
Yep.
Tommy Simonson for 500 Donkey Kong dollars. Thank you. Says they eat dirt cookies in Haiti now. Dirt, fat, and salt cats is an upgrade. Yeah, it's horrible. I saw that video. It was super fucked up. It was like, I don't know if it was an old video or it was a new video, but I saw this clip. It was like there's so many people in Haiti that don't have like access to literal like real food, that they were mixing dirt, fat, and salt into dirt in order to like sustain themselves. So it's a real fucked up scenario.
Yucky.
Yep. Israel Galindo, thank you for the $5, says, what do you guys think about the 100K Arizona votes who potentially weren't citizens voting? So I read that story, and it's one of the most, I haven't seen, there's like a clip of the governor or somebody talking about it, which I haven't seen, but I read a story about it, and I'll watch the clip because maybe it's like easier to understand. The story is one of the most convoluted stories to try to unpack, that I was like, oh my God, no one's going to be able to I don't even fucking understand the story. No one's going to be able to understand the story. Okay. And it's going to get spun into this like crazy thing.
I watched one video on it where there was a lawsuit going out. They're basically suing the state, I think, for information about all these illegal voters. I sent you the video on it, right? We're talking about
Uh,
the same thing.
no, that's not the video I'm talking about.
Okay.
So essentially, what happened was in Arizona, they passed a law. Okay. So in America, it's illegal to vote in a national election unless you're an American citizen. And however, and this is kind of what the Republicans are trying to push for now. Um, however, the way, like, apparently you only just have to say under penalty of perjury that you're an American citizen. You don't have to provide some sort of, to the federal government anyway, you don't have to provide some sort of unique identifier that you're an American citizen. Now, I was under the impression, I don't know how true this is. I was under the impression that since you generally register, you don't register with the federal government to vote, you register with your state to vote. And generally, the states require, ID something to prove that you are who you say you are. And when they do all that stuff, they make sure you can vote. They do a background check on you to make sure you're not a felon or whatever. And part of that is, I would imagine, to include that you're a fucking citizen of the United States of America, right? That seemed to be a pretty obvious thing on the checklist. So
They don't do any of that stuff.
I don't know the answer to that question. But with the Arizona thing in 2005, they very specifically passed a law that said in order to vote for local elections, you have to provide some specific proof of citizenship, right?
Mhm.
Which, okay, that's good, fine. I mean, I think everyone should have to provide citizenship, or the government should have to have a list of who the fucking citizens are, when you register to vote. So this created some weird loophole because essentially after that point, after 2005, it was like whenever you would go to get your license, your driver's license renewed, you had to conform to this new law and you had to provide evidence that you were a citizen when you got your license renewed or something, right?
Mhm.
And there was some weird fuck up that's too convoluted for me to get into, which is like if you got your license in 1996 and you renewed it before 2005 or something, there was some window in which 100,000 people who renewed their license in a very specific time frame never had to prove that they were in fact U.S. citizens because they kind of slipped into some sort of time frame window crack, essentially. And so the problem they say is, oh no, we just realized we have 100,000 people who renewed their licenses before this law was changed and they never updated it. And so we don't know if those 100,000 people are in fact U.S. citizens or not. So
Yeah, I guess
there you
this is
go.
way different than the thing I sent you.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It has nothing to do. I don't think it's anything to do with the thing you sent me. So
The thing I sent you had to do with voters being like they can vote. The state asks them if they're citizens, but the federal government doesn't ask them if they're citizens. So there could be there's voters that are voting in federal elections that have not declared whether they're citizens of the United States
this
or
is
not.
no, this is probably the same story.
Oh, it is? Okay.
I'm assuming it's the same story, but I don't know.
And a bunch of people filed a lawsuit and the state doesn't want to provide the voter rolls.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, maybe it's a different state or a different scenario. But maybe they're filing a lawsuit because of this weird fuck up that it's unknown if these 100,000 people are unknown to the state if these 100,000 people are citizens or not. And it's probably safe to imagine that like the overwhelming majority of them are citizens. But if there's some legal requirement that says they have to prove it, well, good luck trying to get those 100,000 people to prove it before the election. Though, according to the article I read, this might actually backfire because they were saying that judging by, since it's like this weird loophole in the time frame of people who renewed their licenses, they're saying that the majority of people, they know who the majority of those people are in that 100,000 that they don't know if they're citizens or not. And they said the majority of them are old people and registered Republicans.
Oh, hilarious.
So this could totally backfire on the Republicans if they essentially don't let those 100,000 people vote. So we'll see what happens. Albert for 20 months says the Democrats are a threat to our catocracy. There you go. Look at that.
Ooh, ouch. Definitely.
Alex Wright for $5 says, Adam, it's called directional truth. Lie about Haitians eating pets, making claims that evidence is lying in order to talk about real grievances.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, I think that, well, it's funny. I mean, that's essentially what JD Vance said Dana Bash, I think it's a terrible idea. So you can use that kind of logic to advocate for all the worst things, CRT, all white people are racist, blah, blah, blah. So
Brianna Wu says that directional a lot, and I never really know what she means. Directionally. I mean, it's directionally correct.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like when I hear people say that.
Directionally
It feels very
correct.
weaselly, yeah.
What does that mean?
Ostracy for $20. Thank you so much. Says the problem is there has to be an underlying reason why there shouldn't be millions of immigrants being placed here. Whatever answer you give can be spun as a negative stereotype. Kind of feels like you are playing both sides. Not at all. You obviously there's two underlying reasons you give to why there shouldn't be millions of immigrants into the country. The first is it's going to have an impact economically on the people living here, and the second is going to have a cultural impact on the people living here. I think you can say both those things without saying that they're all raping and eating your pets.
The left doesn't like. The left could care less about the cultural impact. Like the bigger the cultural
impact, the right
impact,
needs to be
better.
able to make that argument and not just cede it because they're afraid of being called racist or whatever. So.
Well, however they make it, they're going to be called racist.
Well, I understand that, but you're going to have to
suck it up.
Okay, if here's your options. Either A, you're going to be called racist for making an argument that is true, which is that regions of the country and America as a whole has a cultural attitudes, and if you start having a bunch of people from a different country, different cultural attitudes, all immigrate to one area, it's going to affect that culture. A true statement, and yes, some people on the left will call you racist, and you can call them a fucking idiot. Or you could say something that's not true and say they're all eating your pets and raping your women, and therefore a lot more people call you racist, and it's not true. So I would say that you should say the thing that is true and get less people to also call you racist. So
am I okay to share cat memes?
You're allowed to share cat memes, yeah.
I like this one that says "Make cats safe again." He's wearing like a red "Make America Great Again" cap.
Right. Well, all the and this is part of what the left-wing media apparatus doesn't really understand in the sort of conversation is that from the debate, and I think this is why I would be surprised if we see Kamala get some big bump. I think she might get a slight bump. I don't think she'll get a big bump. Not only because I don't think she did very well, but because the most memorable part of it wasn't anything Kamala. This is why what Hutch was saying, I think, was completely ass backwards. In a race between Kamala and Trump, all the people that hate Trump and don't want to vote for him, for the most part, are already decided, right? There could be a couple, some people undecided, but most of them are already not decided. It would behoove Kamala to make memorable moments for her to stand out, as opposed to have memorable moments of Trump saying, here's Trump saying something ridiculous. Especially if it's something ridiculous that gets turned into a bunch of funny memes, like they're eating the pets, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, and you get a litany of funny song parodies and videos of cats and dogs looking very scared at the TV screen, which is hilarious when he's saying this stuff. So
I had that song stuck in my head all day yesterday.
Because it's a good
eating
song.
The dogs. They're eating the cats.
And that's even worse. That's even better for Trump and worse for the left, because then whenever people hear about like the accusation, oh my God, he's a big racist, he said they're eating the dogs and cats, it's like you immediately think of the funny meme, and then it kind of takes away the power of the accusation of it being racist. So
meow meow meow.
Yeah. It's whoa whoa whoa. Meow meow
meow meow meow. Hey, look at that. You remember
that was the best one, I think, especially because the guy was very funny with his little hand movements and everything. Wow.
Oh my God.
Ostracy for $5 says, holy crap, this person is using the right-wing anti-gun control argument. Were they? Well, yeah, but I believe, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm being unfair here. I'm assuming she was using it because she wants Kamala to advocate for a stronger form of gun control, not a weaker form of gun control. But that'd be my guess.
You think they're winning the cat lady vote back with the cat memes?
No.
Really? I feel like they're making headway.
Go He the Mac for 25 months says, way behind the stream, these mouth gulps Kamala is doing into the mic are hurting my soul.
Oh yeah, me too.
I didn't really hear them, so I didn't have my volume up loud enough. Lethal Strain for $5 says a better argument on abortions is that I'll work with the states to change and expand their laws to make these X, Y, and Z exceptions and policies.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
No, I don't agree at all, because that's not what Democrat voters want. They want this idea that there's all these poor women suffering in all these red states because the dirty Republican government wants to put their hands all over women's uteruses and force them to have babies they don't want.
Those
So
people
they,
are already decided. They've already mailed their vote in. And
well, yeah,
you're
but if
going
Kamala,
for,
I understand. Well, I don't know. If Kamala comes out, abortion is one of their best issues. Okay. And if Kamala comes out and says that they're not going to push for a federal law to allow abortions under the Roe v. Wade sort of time frame or exceptions or restrictions or whatever the way she frames it, that instead she says, I'm going to work with states. I'm going to work with a bunch of red states to make them, have abortion access. Number one, no one's going to fucking believe that for a second, right? All those red states are going to tell Kamala to fuck off and pound sand. And also it's going to piss off, a lot of the Democrat base. So I disagree completely.
I think, like, in the general, you're usually trying to piss off the Democratic base and get to the center, right? Triangulation.
No, but on the if this was if the abortion thing was like contentiously split in the electorate, maybe, but it's really not. The majority of people, especially in the undecideds, are in favor of abortion with restrictions.
Right, exactly.
So if she pushes that on a federal level, I don't think that costs her any votes.
Right. I thought the super chat was exactly that.
No, she said he said a better argument on abortion is that I will work with the states to change and expand their laws.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I don't. Ostracy for $5 says, I think you guys underestimate how many people she would lose with a restriction on abortion. Last time I checked, 65% of Dems support no restrictions. I mean, first of all, if that's that high, that's pretty crazy. But I think she could kind of move the needle on that issue if she just came out in favor of it, or they would all just sort of, I think most people I think the overwhelming majority of Democrats, like 95% that are in favor of abortion access, would be completely fine if Kamala Harris came out in favor of, the federal law that, has it in the Roe v. Wade period and doesn't allow, and specifically does not allow it in the last trimester. Even if they didn't personally like it, they'd say, well, my choices are that or Donald Trump, so I'm going to choose Kamala. And I think she would do a benefit of sort of getting rid of this toxic idea and kind of getting rid of that argument that the right keeps making about the, post-birth abortion / late-term abortions, which is a very effective political rhetoric. Electro for $10 says, why does she keep on doing that? The interviewer states her opinion in the question. Then she starts off the answer with it. It's annoying. Get your own thoughts for fuck's sakes. True. Our word, thanks so much for the $2. Brian for $20, thank you so much, says money has demand without taxes. The demand comes from the trust of the monetary system more than taxes. That's why you have countries like Argentina where they're taxed in pesos, but people were using USD to buy their things. First of all, I don't think that's a good example. The reason you have people using USD to buy things is because people in that country do not trust pesos because they're having rampant, or they were having, I don't know what's going on now, they're having rampant inflation problems. So I'm not sure that's a good comparison. But maybe now you could say nowadays, and I would agree with this, nowadays, because taxes is so kind of like ingrained in people's minds, it is true that trust of the monetary system in America, trust in the government, is sort of.
What happened?
What?
We lost you for a second there. Trust in the government was sort of
trust in the
baked
government
in?
right now is probably, like, if you would ask people, like the primary thing that they're thinking about in terms of having trust in like the existence of the dollar and money and all this other stuff. But if you snapped your fingers and you got rid of taxes, like all taxes in the US, you could pay tax out dollars, you would start to see a decline. And I think you start to see a decline in caring about the dollar. So.
Well, no, it's an interesting question because it doesn't change the fact that the dollar is stable because of this artificial demand created by Americans paying taxes. But I mean, that artificial demand is being stretched to a foreign nation as well, who just the people perceive that the longevity, stability, low inflation of the USD is going to be better than the local currency. Their local government is not managing the currency well. And I think Argentina they have gone full USD now. Like they're basically backing their money with dollars, which is not smart for them, but good for us. So still,
Right.
the artificial demand is being created by Americans paying taxes.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's essentially, and this is why the Moore Moser tells that story where he was like, I was gonna pay my kids in business cards to do their chores, and
Right.
I said if you did a chore, you would get 10 business cards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think he even said like, and you can then turn those 10 business cards into like, TV time or candy or some sort of gift or something that you
He doesn't
want to
say
do.
that, but
I thought he did at first, and then the kids didn't do any of the chores. They didn't give a fuck about the business cards. But then when he started saying, okay, I'm going to change the rules here. I'm going to start requiring you whenever you do anything you want to do, whether it be to go out, to watch TV, to do XYZ, you're going to have to start paying me business cards, right? He starts
Right.
taxing specific things through business cards. Suddenly they give a shit about the business cards, and the business cards have value. So
yeah, totally. You might be right about him trying to do it the nice way first, but then he does.
I believe he said he did, and
way.
it didn't work, and then he coerced them. Yeah. R worded for $2. Thanks so much. Says all Italians are connected to the mob. There you go. Look, and that's another.
Are they really?
Your classic negative
Strange.
stereotype. Yes. JMac, or sorry, Gafar, thanks so much, Dad. JMac for the $20 says, did you two see the AI song Thal did for me? I want to try and do something for you guys now. It was hilarious and unironically fire. I did see it. Can bring it up.
I
here.
could not click on it. It kept giving me
no. There was
like wouldn't play.
Was that so? The one that Thal made for you, I couldn't click on.
Oh, okay.
Yesterday.
Is this a Daddy J-Mac song?
This is Daddy J-Mac. I just sent it to you. Can you see that one?
I can, yeah.
Right. So yeah, we can bring it up. It's pretty based, pretty awesome. So
Thal's doing some good work here. Thal, can
Thal
you
is doing
do animation yet? I have an animation I want to do, so.
Well, doing a song with the Suno AI is very different than doing animation. So
Why?
I mean, it's just the way it works, I guess.
Don't.
Right.
Remember Yes We Can?
Mm-hmm.
It's time for a little Yes We Can.
Right.
I guess we're going to do like a 3, 2, 1 maybe? Or
Yeah, we're going to do a 3, 2, 1 when you're ready.
we can't pause if we do that, right?
I mean, we can, but it's a song, so.
Ready?
Yep.
Hold on. It's not working for me. Gotta rewind this shit. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
J-Max, up in rubber toe. J-Max. Daddy J-Mac, walking tall through the city, slinging money at creators. Ain't nothing pretty, plays magic, the gathering, deck full of spells. Summon dragons from the depths and then back to the hells. Cosplays, Final Fantasy, heroes on the roam. Crown is set for Ross, making villains get the foam. Sword slinging, material blinging. In the game of life, Big Daddy keeps on winning. Big Daddy J-Max stacking, all the cash never lacking. Money reigns, creators gain. In this game, he's the main. He's the main. Rolls a 20-sided die. Fate in the balance, crit hit with every line. Mastery and talent, mana flows like the green. Taps it for the power, make a move, drop the card, watch him cower. Armored up, materia in tow. Final Fantasy life, he's got the glow. Monsters beware, he's cracking the code. Daddy J-Max story forever told. From the cards to the cosplay, money to the stage. J-Mac rules over each, turning every page. Creators feel his reign, inspiration from the start. In the worlds he builds, they all play their parts.
Beautiful.
How does he do the lyrics on this thing?
It's just you never use Suno AI?
You just type in like a little description or
You type in like a description and then you can kind of like play around with it afterwards. Like you can
okay.
actually, I believe, put in specific lyrics you want, or you can kind of tell them to do
Wow.
it generic. It's so
That's
yeah, it's
like
great.
pretty amazing here.
No, it's fantastic. Yeah. Thank you, though.
Crazy.
Beautiful, wonderful. Look at that.
Yeah, it's
And
badass.
they're like good songs too. So
Nicely
very
done.
based.
Message me when you can do animation.
There you go. Mike Mills for $20 says the best proof they have about the Haitians thing is one video of an animal that kind of looks like a cat on a grill in a different city from a year ago. Yeah, that's the Rufo clip. When Trump lies, his worshippers will get out of their way to make it true. There you go. James Hayes for £2 says it seems Kamala officially has lost the unions. Yeah, I didn't have that on my bingo card for this year, but Electro for $20, thank you so much, says on the handgun thing, I would believe you, Sitch, if she didn't go on the path with illegal gun purchases, which would be a direct counter to banning handguns. The thing is, I don't know what direction she'd be going then. You believe me on what? I don't remember what I said in regards to this that you're referring to. So you go on the path with illegal gun purchases. I mean, you got to go out. I believe the majority of it comes from straw purchases and from illegal sales, intentional illegal sales. So, which no politician wants to touch those with a 10-foot pole, because the only solution to stop that is the thing that I said about the registration, which nobody wants to advocate for. So
with the photo registry of when you shoot the gun.
Yeah, there you go. Every time you shoot, it takes a picture of your dick. And it sends it to Nancy Pelosi. Yeah.
The dick pics.
The dick pics.
We were on a roll that time.
Yes.
God, we come up with such good policy.
We
really should move to Washington.
My policy prescription to fix the gun problems is to send dick pics to Nancy Pelosi.
We should. Look, our policy proposals are the best. There's nothing can contain our policy proposals.
Right.
Like
right.
I am starting to get passionate about drug prison. I really think we have a homeless problem here in Southern California that
was one of my better ideas.
I think we can solve with the drug prison.
Mm-hmm.
Time to get passionate.
Simon Allen for £2 says stream tax if low rate. There you go. Stream tax. Oh, yeah. J-Mac or Circuit Farr, thanks so much for the $10. Says this song is solely responsible for reversing my wife's fear of AI.
Nice.
That's pretty hilarious.
No one should. And
thank you so much, our surrogate father, Daddy J-Mac, with the fact stacks with the 50 gifted memberships. Thank you.
Welcome new members.
Yeah,
look at this. Members. We're in business.
Yes. Beautiful.
All right.
Sulla for $2 says, I love Kill la Kill, but I don't agree with your comments. They're high school seniors, and Ryoko looks that age. Plus, Mako is definitely a short stack goblin. Nan and Satsuki are 18 now. That being said, their culture is changing for the better. I violently disagree with you. I think when you look at anime characters that are like, when you look at most anime characters and you say like this character is from like 16 to 30, they all essentially look the same generally, except that they put the 16-year-olds in schoolgirl outfits. So disagree. Anyways.
All right. This was a great show. I guess we're starting a little late tomorrow, but we're going to come back and talk about, hopefully Kamala does a better interview, right?
All right. We'll talk about whatever's going on that day. But yes, we'll be streaming a little bit later. So not at 2 Eastern. I guess we don't know. Maybe 3, 4, something like that.
Yep.
So anyway, thanks for coming. Thanks for your incredibly generous donations. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Nice.